Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast episode 112. 112. And this is the big one. 10 No. 112, damn it. Not 112. No, hello.
Title didn't throw you off on the description and all the images that you already saw before you got into this episode. This background should definitely tip you off.
Yeah, look at
We're
this.
We're at Brandon's house.
This is what the rest of Brandon's house looks like. We only see the one room here usually. It's the rest
outside that door behind him is where I'm stuck and trapped. His dad's playing a little game with me right now. Thanks, Mr. Orlick. But job is done.
Nice. So yeah, we're doing it. We're doing the Saw franchise at last. I know I wanted to do it again for a long. Because I did it with Banana Laser back in the day, but I wanted to do it here for such a long time. It's never, we're finally here. Thankfully, Keith Moffat did picked it for us to watch. So now we have to do it. And speaking of Keith Moffat, I got to say something because I'm overdue on this.
Is he a Ghoulie Moffat? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Great.
Moffat.
That's awesome.
I'm overdue because Keith Moffat sent me this a while ago. Not a while, but less than a month. And I forgot to talk about it on the show. So I was looking at the show notes and everything. I'm like, wait a minute, Keith. I go, oh man, I forgot to thank him formally. I thanked him, but not when someone does something like this, I want to say something publicly. So look what I got from him.
Aww.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sackhead.
Good old.
He had the blackest eyes.
Yeah, the blackest eye indeed.
Bring that up now, right after I talk about Brandon Orlick's dad, who's also, I guess, for lack of a better nickname, is called Sackhead right now. Sorry, sir.
Awesome. So yeah, I'm so happy because 2 Funkos. I don't like Funkos. Matter of fact, I have a dislike to Funkos, except for 2. I said the only 2 I would ever have that I ever wanted were Sackhead Jason and Black Phillip because they don't look like the other Funkos. They don't look like every other asshole Funko that's out there. They have a unique look, and I got them both as gifts now.
Honestly, Dave, I could give 2 Funkos. Waka Waka. It's going to be one of those shows. Right out of the gate, everybody. I came down on Brandon last episode, and I'm doing it this episode.
You came down on him, and this show you're going to be going down on him by the time the show's over.
Yeah, I'm winning that date one way or the other.
I was going to say. No, but I think people are expecting us to be there, even if that's the rumor that if Brandon gets when Brandon gets the date.
Started.
Well, you know what I mean. And I'm saying when Brandon gets the date, the actual after we have the dating game, because I've decided it's going to be the dating game because I think it's much more fun. You know what I mean? I think we get 3 contestants, which I guess. We only had 2 interested females and 1 interested male. So it's gonna be the dating game. Brandon's gonna have to respond to the questions that we ask the contestants, and then he's gonna make his decision. So I guess whoever goes, I guess the other people, if they don't go, they could come and hang out with Christian and I. At least that's what they think. So
that was the thing in the parking lot. What's the first question though? Anal sex on the first date? Yes or no?
Oh boy.
Oh, we're asking these after, or no? This is to win the date. Oh, these questions, man. Woo!
Wait,
you
so
and
I got to answer them ahead of time. Yes.
You have to come up with the question.
Yes. I'm all for anal sex on the first date.
Brandon,
Wait.
you come up with the question. You get 5 questions to ask the contestants. Okay. Now you're not going to see them. Christian and I are going to ask the questions to the contestants, and then we're going to document their answers and read them to you on the show. Because if you hear their voices, you're going to know who they are. So that's unfair. So we're going to have to do it in a way where
Scott. That's definitely Scott.
In fact, I'm not just asking the questions. I'm asking the questions. I like that. Accent. We're asking the questions.
Accent with an accent. Yeah.
I picture Jason Smith commenting at this point. Why is Christian so fucking loud again?
Yeah. Well, my God. Congratulations on 10,000 downloads, you prick.
10,000 subscribers.
How many family members does he have?
10,000 subscribers.
subscribers. No, all joking aside, it's fantastic. I mean, congratulations. And I'm jealous.
Me too.
Of the subscriptions.
I am. I'm happy for him. I'm jealous of his subscribers. He was supposed to be here today, but he couldn't make it again. I mean, we try, Jason. We do try. You can't say that we haven't. We keep trying to get together with Jason.
We make jokes about it, but you never do come. So unfortunately, you're knocked down another peg. So here's introducing Mr. Watson again. Bring him on.
Imagine that. Boom. Hey, guys.
Listeners, please don't tune out.
What are the rules of the game you're stuck in right now? Do you have, 30 minutes to get out of that shirt? Or
What's wrong with this shirt?
Nothing. I'm teasing you. You look good.
Rick.
You look good. I wish it was
They
a
already
little lower.
took my tooth for the poster.
It's fucking tooth.
I'm one of the teeth of the Saw 3 poster. That's my tooth.
Look out! Lean back.
You're right, Saw 3. You're right. There was a tooth on the cover. You're right.
Look, it looks like the top of his head's been cut off when he does that.
I don't see it.
You don't see it?
Oh, like he's bald?
I was going to play a voicemail that I got, or a messenger audio that I got from Scott, or Chris, aka Scott. But the reality is, I realized all it's doing is praising me. So then I felt kind of like an asshole bringing it up. So I'm not going to bring it up. He goes, "Oh, that joke was really funny," and I'm like, "Oh." Let's listeners listen to when the joke was really funny that I made. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to bring it up. So
you got to play it, right?
I'm not going to play it.
Why?
He doesn't want to pat himself on the back.
Pat yourself on the back.
Enough. I do it to myself.
Okay.
But thank you.
You want to take 10 minutes to listen to it by yourself before we continue?
These headphones. I'm going to do a Dave thing here. So I don't know what happened, but my mom somehow came across some wireless Bluetooth headphones, obviously not AirPods. So I put them in because they're the wireless version of what I was using before, which is the one with neck loop at the back that's wireless. And these ones don't have that loop, but they keep slipping out of my ear.
Oh, that sucks.
I got big honking ears. These things should be fucking welded in there. Like I keep having to put them back in. So if I'm doing this a lot, that's why.
Oh, see, that's the one thing about the AirPods for me is they never fall out. I do have my problems, as I've stated before, but they stay in. I mean, I wear them on the treadmill even. You know what I mean? I wear these fucking things everywhere. I work with them. I'm doing them now. Luckily today I have no technical problems. Am I faster?
Are you faster on the treadmill wearing the AirPods?
Yeah.
Am I faster?
Not as fast as when he's wearing Air Jordans. It's a Morning Zoo type of show. Speaking of Morning Zoo, I saw that feedback that I think it's the Horrorcast got.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's the show that Watt's helping out on now, right?
Watson does occasionally try to get on, but
what happened with the Horrorcast?
Yeah, what did happen?
This huge review. Now, the review for the most part was negative, but the time that this person put into writing that review, I would have think this is the best review I've ever gotten, because it's like paragraphs upon paragraphs long, going through how each of them are not good.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, for the most
including Watson.
They say, Vin is the one standout. Watson comes across as a zoo morning anchor or show host, like one of those.
He's the morning zoo guy. I love a morning zoo.
Take it as a big, huge compliment.
He does look a little like a monkey.
That's a compliment, though. I said this before. When I was on, I was interviewed on that thing. Remember when Jerry was doing that thing on Kill the Cast when he had the interviews with us and different. Okay. And one of the things he was asking me about what I listened to, something about, when I listen to a podcast, what I want to hear. And I said, there's two ways to do it. If you're on a show, you have a mic in front of you, it could be one of two things. It could be a morning zoo or it could be the Quiet Storm. When I listen to a podcast, I want to be entertained. So that means I love a fucking morning zoo. I'll tell you, I for years, and I don't know why I just started doing this recently. but for years on the way to work, mostly because I didn't work as early as I do now, I listen to music or a podcast, whatever. Recently, I've just been listening to a local show that does a morning zoo type thing. And I know, I used to listen to them years ago, and they're still on the air. They're doing their thing. But I like that. I like, it's a good way to get the energy going. So, I mean, I think it's a compliment.
What happens if a morning zoo and a quiet storm collide? Do the animals get wet? I didn't even find the joke funny. I just found Christian's reaction funny.
It's like throwing turtles on a slip and slide, you know? Whee!
Look, it stinks.
Wait a minute, a morning? Oh yeah, okay, wet because it's a storm. I got it. Okay, all right, yeah. Shit. Anyway, I think a morning zoo is a and a guy that's as serious as Watson is, and when I mean serious, I mean someone who's intellectual as Watson is when he wants to be. I would rather it be a morning zoo than a quiet storm, because otherwise it's fucking boring. I don't want to listen to a smart guy who's fucking boring. You know what I mean? If you're going to be intelligent and come with it, I want you to have some enthusiasm. So if anything,
absolutely.
Do they have lizards?
But if you read this review, sorry.
Do they have lizards at the zoo?
Why?
No, because he's thin-skinned, so I just didn't know if they had. Love you, Watson.
New Zoo Review coming right at you. Do you remember that, Christian? Is that Canadian? The New Zoo Review?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I do.
I don't know.
Somebody knows. So I guarantee someone's listening right now and they're saying it's the New Zoo Review coming right at you. Yeah, it was a good show back in the day. Anyway, every time we talk about nostalgia, about childhood things, people do they do appreciate it. So, Anyway, back to.
I wish I was in a fucking trap, just with all these fucking jokes. I wish I had that head trap right now, and I wouldn't even move. I mean, 1 minute, done. The shit these people have to go through in a minute. Oh, we'll get to it. I don't know why I'm jumping right into it, but it's crazy what people will do to try.
And it's 9 o'clock already. I believe it's fucking 9 o'clock.
What about the horror cast? What else was said? I jumped in and I shouldn't. You said Watson, and I had to say the Morning Zoo. And what else did they say? They said they liked Vin, and everybody else they shit on him.
Vin should drop the rest of them and do another show, or something like that. It wasn't. But
wow.
But they all posted it, and they all took it as good constructive criticism in a sense, because I'm telling you, I would have too, because the amount of detail and the time that reviewer put into writing this review was definitely worth it. It wasn't something like these guys suck, find another podcast, not by any means. So, you know what? I thought it was good feedback. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I would have been really happy with that review.
Is this the guy? It's a 5-star review, right? Because it's long. Or no?
No, it was 1 star.
Does it say, "Oh, the horror"? Is that the one?
It was
July
Lone
10th?
Star.
I didn't actually read it on.
I found it. I
Yeah.
found it. Oh, the horror. It's actually 2 stars. And yeah, a huge fan of horror films, of Hammer films. Pardon me. That's why they listened, because they did the whole Hammer thing. Okay, what a
Oh,
disappointment.
then he'll like this, because we're doing a Saw show. So, does he like Saws too? Or just
I don't know,
Hammers?
Right. Wow. We should do a Carpenter show. If I had a hammer. Yeah. We should do it. Hammer and Saw.
Films, directed by John Carpenter.
That would have been a brilliant fucking thing to market. Yeah.
We get Steven Carpenter on here.
Yeah, and we do a John Carpenter too. Every show we'll do a John Carpenter movie, okay? We'll do a Hammer film. We'll do a Saw film, and we'll read an email from Stephen Carpenter. Imagine that.
Perfect.
Wow. Anyway, yeah, I found it. He's a fan of Hammer. What a disappointment, though, is other than Vin, who actually does research and presents it well, and Tammy, it's a slog. So he thinks that Tammy is better than Watson. Interesting. Brandon, who doesn't have the good sense to realize this is not the time to talk about your disgusting mythology of choice.
The TMZ party hour. It works.
The TMZ. Tammy. The TMZ and the T-Rex. Yes. Anyway, yeah, it's quite long. Wow, I can't believe that about Watson though. That's
Why'd
insane.
you say Brandon? Is there a Brandon on there?
Yeah, Brandon Young, who does sit in occasionally.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot Brandon Young does the Horrorcast too sometimes.
Hubba ad nauseum. Interesting. Clears his throat strongly and often, right into your ears. Who does this? Wet farts. Trump. I'm confused.
I never noticed that, but I guess they must do that. I do this. Doing a line of coke right now. Does this make you evaluate Watson on your show, Dave? Like you're reading that criticism, you're like, yeah, fuck. Maybe we need to change it up a bit. Maybe TMZ's the way to go moving forward.
Wow. You've got Watson.
How about Vinzi? How about Vin Diesel?
How about Vinzi Wallace?
Vinzi Wallace.
Vinzi. You know? Okay, this is what it says about Watson.
Scary too, kind of.
It is scary. You got Watson with this crazy amplified morning zoo antics, which gets old quickly. That's fucking nothing's further from the truth. I'll tell you that.
Except for the getting old quickly part.
Oh shit.
Oh, Brandon, you're awesome. Awesome.
Wow. It could have at least been a 70s Bush. That's a good line. See, this is funny. See, okay.
Funny. Yeah.
Huh? Right? Did you see what it says? The satanic rites one. And Mark said, I'm just here to make jokes about it. Which to that point, nope. But then he came up with an answer to Dracula after 8 films goes out by getting caught in a bush. Hey, it could have at least been a 70s Bush. Quality ad-lib material. That's fucking funny.
It is funny, and this guy was obviously a diehard Hammer fan. So unless knowledge was being dropped, like they get every fucking turn of the review and the segment, this guy wouldn't have been happy. Guy or girl? I'm assuming guy, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt of not coming across sexist, because women could be bitches too.
You can't say that.
You can't say that. Right?
Everybody's fantastic.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Speaking, I'm going to look at our ratings because I think it may be. Well, I know that it was back up to 5. Thank goodness. Thank goodness that the Exploding Heads came back to.
Well, I gave it a 1-star review this morning, so I might have dropped it down again.
It doesn't matter because once the feed stops getting something for so long, we drop down anyway. We haven't been putting any episodes on that feed.
Well, we're good. 189 ratings. And 5 out of 5. So now the strive for 200 is what it is. If we can get 11 more people out there, then we can be part of the 200 club, which that's really reserved for the big boys. So
to 200 club, but then like I said, come February that feed's gone, and I think.
But is it though?
Is it though?
Who am I talking to here?
Is it though? No.
J-Pig.
Did you call me Jay Zig? Just
J-Pig from Saw.
Oh, they said Jay Zig. Okay, a combination of me and Jay.
You came out of the closet. You abducted Adam. J-Pig. That's J-Pig.
Oh, that's great. Well,
the coming out of the closet part I can buy.
Shit. You can't say that. We gotta get a shirt that says that on there for sure.
The best is Travis saying, "I can't wait to listen to this episode to find out why that's funny."
All right.
Oh fuck. Anyway,
yeah. Let's get 11 more ratings. But I'm gonna ask Jason about that. When Horrorphilia is gone, there's still. I don't know. Do you think this is the way of the dinosaur? Can we take the feed over somehow?
I think you could take the feed over, but he will know how to do that. I think there's a way to do it, to transfer it, but then we've got to have a place to transfer it to. And right now we're putting everything on Patreon, which beautifully Patreon finally upped the megabytes per audio episode. So I was doing it like I always used to do maximum resolution, maximum I guess
emergency generator
quality. for all the episodes. And then when I came to Patreon, I had to minimize them sometimes. So I'd have to go to medium quality, sometimes low, but they've upped it now. So all the episodes will fit a maximum quality. So
you think perhaps you can minimize this speech you're giving?
I'm glad is he echoing for you? I hope he is.
Yeah, I'm echoing the bunny man.
Well, your hair's a bush, so yeah, you might be there.
Yeah.
Indeed.
A 70s bush?
Waka, waka, waka. Exactly. What was I going to tell you? Oh, the thing about Patreon, what you're saying, does that mean that a 4-hour show will fit onto one stream now or no? Is that completely the whole different thing?
4 hours will fit. Anything over 4 hours, I think, still may need to be divvied up. That part they didn't specify. It was just the volume or the size of the actual audio file. So the quality is definitely now upped. Hopefully that means that length is upped as well.
Oh, nice.
Length, yeah.
You're talking audio or video or both?
Length.
Video doesn't matter because video was always just a link. Audio is directly uploaded onto Patreon, so that is what has been.
Audio is always a Zelda.
A Zelda? Legend of?
Yeah. And video is a link.
Oh, okay. I got you, buddy. All right.
His head was gone. Do that again. You look like the Invisible Man. Do that exact.
Headless.
Come back a little bit.
Come on, Rob G. Come back with a Rob G face. Yeah. There he is. Rob G.
Oh, listen. I'm like.
Oh, shit. Awesome. Good. Now I can tell JP that they can now on 22 shots, they can, because every time I try to listen to the 22 shots early Patreon thing, I can't listen to it because they do it Google Drive style. And no matter what I do with this fucking phone, I cannot listen to any podcast on Google Drive. Even if I'm on Wi-Fi, I cannot fucking download and listen to it. I don't know why, but I know I can listen to our show just fine that way. So I'm always telling him, I go, can you do it this way? And he goes, the reason we can't do it is because the shows are too long and we can't do it that way. So now you're telling me that it's improved. Now they can.
Well, no, not necessarily. If it's still over 4 hours, that part I got to double check.
That I understand. Yeah. But most shows are less than 4 hours. They do have some that go. I get that. And some are close. But I'm going to tell them because, damn it, I'm tired of waiting. And what's going to happen when, well, whatever. That's a long time out. So anyway, Saw. We're finally here. I'm really excited about it. I think we're going to really dig deep. We're going to say some things that maybe other people haven't noticed. I don't know. But
are we?
Brandon has said,
Probably
did
not.
you say it's your favorite franchise when
Yes,
we had that discussion?
Is.
Okay.
It's definitely
Going into this, this is Brandon's favorite franchise. Once upon a time, I declared it as my number 2 franchise. It's since dropped. But let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens this time around because we'll get to it. I'm ready. I'm ready if you guys are ready.
I certainly think for the length of franchise, it's easily number 1. When you look at 8 films.
Have we talked, and that is a good point too, but have we mentioned that actually we're dividing this up so that tonight we'll be talking about, or this episode?
Christian will not be on this episode, so we're dividing it up. Christian, we'll see you next episode. Thank you.
Rob G is
very welcome.
I said thank you. You may go now.
And that's it.
All right, Dave. Let's go.
Oh, you blew it. You should have got up and said fucking.
Dave, that's an excellent point. I think we should wrap this review up. That was amazing. Dave, that was fantastic. I can't believe that was brilliant. So ratings?
That's what we do. Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
That's all.
Christian. Oh, you want to do number 2 with us? Okay.
Yeah.
Number 2. He's always doing number 2.
He wants to do number 2 on us.
Free of charge. No Patreon perk there. What I wanted to say was we're only doing 1 and 2 for this episode before Brandon opened his big fucking trap. So
my trap.
First 2 moves.
You say that on purpose?
Yeah. Think of it as a reverse bear trap.
Yes.
Yeah, before he opened his reverse bear mouth.
So that's it. 1 and 2. But we're still doing 3 and 4, and it's still coming out in July. We're just separating these episodes.
We can't talk about the bear trap. People might think this is a morning zoo show.
4 shows a month. 4 shows a month on Patreon.
I don't even know what that was, but that was funny. Was that supposed to be a bear?
No, that was supposed to be a morning zoo antic.
Oh, I thought you were doing a bear sound. I thought you were like,
That's a walrus. What are you kidding?
I'm Smokey.
I'm Smokey the Walrus?
That should have been in Tusk, you know?
Why
I didn't get the flipper. All that cracking wise, I told the dentist, I go, look, if you're putting the fucking permanent tooth in a couple of weeks, I don't want the flipper. Plus, the guys on the podcast are making fun of me, Doc. He's like, he went,
Yeah, Brandon can do it, right? How's that noise go?
What noise?
The flipper noise. I know you did it last time. I know you did.
Man, it hurts.
You can't do it on the spot. It hurts, huh? Wow. Bravo, sir. Wow.
coming at you live.
Wow. What did you say? Coming at you live?
Yeah. Well,
Morning Zoo Antics, SeaWorld Antics.
Oh, that's a Moods thing. Coming at you live, you know? That's what he was
yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
No, I can do it better than that.
Yeah.
We
You
gotta
know?
do it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know?
Choking on your own jazz.
Your own jazz? What is that a combination of? Jizz and what? You're choking on your own jazz.
His old jazz.
Oh, I got you. Unbelievable.
Saying.
You got that? What an asshole.
He called
Oh,
it
I
jazz.
wish you. Yeah.
All that jazz. That could be, if there's ever a documentary on Moods, it could be called All That Yeah. You know? It'd be good. We're going to make one. When we make our movie and we
That's
cast
our night
Moods as
movie.
Brandon Orlick.
That would be a special feature.
That's our night
Yeah,
movie.
when we cast Moods as Brandon Orlick and Moods' father as Brandon's father, and on the disc itself, there's going to be a fucking, and how did Moods get involved in this documentary on Moods? All that, yeah. You know, that'd be great. Anyway, woo.
You can
Saw.
still write the jokes, though, Brandon.
I'm very fucking confused.
My name is very fucking confused. What's your name? No?
Yeah, that's why I said it.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that.
Well, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get
For
into it.
Christ's sake.
Jeez. All right. So,
Jeez.
oh, mean. All right. We got Saw 2004, written and directed by Lee Wanell and James Wan, directed by James Wan. Two strangers who awaken in a room with no recollection of how they got there soon discover they're pawns in a deadly game perpetrated by a notorious serial killer. Gia.
Actually, he never killed anybody.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a crock
that's
of shit.
I'm just
Let's
saying.
face it. That is a crock of shit in the big picture. It drives me nuts. He's killing people left, right, and center. Let's just clear
In
that up
some
right now.
Okay, let me start off by saying in some cases, yes, some, not all. But I will say this. Jigsaw in many respects is like a hero to me, and I wish there were a real Jigsaw in every city. And so that's something about this character, and I really do. Every city has a Jigsaw. Like what's that old expression? A chicken in every pot. A Jigsaw in every city.
Every
You know what I mean?
town has an Elm Street.
I love it. This is one of the things I love about this franchise, and I do love this franchise. But one of the things is that this is probably the only antagonist that I support almost everything he's doing. I love it. I cheer him.
I agree with you, but I also agree with Christian that, I mean, look at it. There's even one scene in the first film where he's telling the guy, Jeff, that you're part of a bigger thing, and he's going to saw into his brain. There's no game going on with that. So he
Correct.
is but I still love him.
Not every movie, but there are some movies where everything that happens is justified. And this not being one of them. I'm with you.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it. There are some things, but I just wanted to say that off the bat, that he isn't really a killer necessarily, although if
He
this
might
works
be the
goes to
killer.
trial, he might be the killer. If there was a trial for this, he would be convicted of second-degree murder, not first-degree, second. So he would be, in fact, a murderer.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he essentially slashes Danny Glover's throat. I know he doesn't die from it, but this is where I'm getting a little. He's not a surgeon, this guy.
Yeah, the shotgun trap. There's no way Singh was going to survive the 5 shotgun blasts to the fucking chest.
That's outright murder.
Well, that wasn't a game.
Murder.
That's true. It wasn't a game, but he's still killing people. But
that's first degree. That's first degree murder.
But the way he's making it sound is like he's never killed anyone, and that everything he does, people have a choice. So he's basically saying the cops had a choice to pursue him. This guy had a choice to get captured and be part of the experiment. But it's the weakest part of the story. You know, the justification of some of the victims. But they do justify it better as it goes on. The more people they bring into it. But in terms of the first film, and it just being obviously Jigsaw, because who knew it was going to spawn 8 sequels now. There are a few issues in that aspect, but I don't give a shit. Like, who cares?
No, I hear you. But how about this? At the end of the movie, how was Adam being tested whatsoever? This is basically a game for Dr. Gordon, and Adam is just a victim.
Come here, Dr. Gordon. Come here, Dr. Gordon. Good boy, Dr. Gordon.
Nice. In the end, the poor bastard Dr. Gordon himself, you know. But listen to me. Adam did not have a game. The game all he was a victim. Basically, Jigsaw says you have until 6 o'clock to kill Adam. That's fucking it. That's it. So how is this a game for Adam at all?
Yeah, the only thing with Adam was his key was right there on the water before he kicked the thing out, kicked the drain out. So if he had managed to not panic being underwater, which who could, then he would have grabbed the key, freed himself, and walked right out of there.
So that's Jigsaw's conscience. He could pass that because he gave him a key. You're right.
Overall, because I mean, I know we're specifically talking about the first year, but you can't. Overall, the series does the best job of retconning. Is this? Am I using the correct term here? Where they go back and they reintroduce things or show things how they're set up. That's where this series works the best. But it is lunacy at an all-time high. But I accept it. I'm there for the ride, but it's fucking batshit crazy. The complexity of the storyline and the timing, the exact timing that needs to happen for everything to kind of work, or just the sheer luck of someone having a key, walking up to a door that really they weren't supposed to be going up to in the first place, but somehow got to, and suddenly that key opens it up. I mean, you've got to let things go for the overall enjoyment of this, or you will be questioning things a lot. And again, I'm questioning a lot of this because this is the second time I'm going through the series this year already. I just watched it with my daughter a couple months ago, and I'm like, oh shit, I got to rewatch it now. And she wanted to anyway for this. Now, some of that is hurt upon rewatch, and some of that has been elevated upon rewatch. And some of this, some of the I was going to say episodes. Sorry. Some of the installments I actually like better than what most people do.
Me too.
Absolutely.
I gravitate to a couple of the ones that are frowned down upon or whatever. Those are sometimes my favorite ones because they're faster paced and whatnot. So we'll get to it, and I'll bring it up when we hit those episodes. But from a first installment, when this came out and I saw it, my mouth dropped. Not just figuratively.
What got put in it?
Yeah. Your dad's balls. But they didn't know him at the time. It was just bizarre. Strange coincidence, actually. That would be podcasting with the son so many years later. But when I saw this, I'm like, this is fantastic. What a great interplay with the story. All in. Showed my wife immediately. She loved it too. And what I'm finding is, now, I guess because of all the other installments, this one almost seems kind of boring in comparison to the other.
Yes, he's right. I agree with that. This one was the slowest one.
I'm finding, well, I actually
one of the slower ones.
I'll actually say part 2 to me actually felt slower to me. But
you're crazy. Part 2 has been elevated for me, and we'll get to that. But part 2.
Okay, well, this is good. I like it, but like I love what's happening with Danny Glover there, but it gets a little messy. It gets a little messy.
Danny Glover's story is a little messy. There's one question I'm going to have as we go deeper into the review regarding something that happens in the film, particularly Danny Glover. But in terms of what you're saying about, these plot conveniences and something, I think that there are times where it's like, there's no way. But at the same time, it elevates Jigsaw as a iconic franchise character because it puts him on the level of like a Hannibal Lecter. Like an engineer and a brilliant man who could predict behavior. It's almost like supernatural in a way. It becomes.
Well, and the doll becomes more iconic than him, but then they make him just as iconic. Like you could have a Jigsaw.
Yeah. I love what's the doll's name? Billy.
The doll.
Yeah, Billy. Yeah. I hope I want to see Spiral. I mean, I know it got pushed back to next year, but I'm hoping that Spiral answers the key to why the spirals and gives you maybe an introduction to how Billy came about.
Well, and on that note too, isn't it weird that people were complaining that when that poster art came out for Spiral Book of Saw,
it has nothing to do with Saw.
Dreamcast? No, it said like, they took a page from the Book of Dreamcast. I'm like, this has been the symbol from the get-go.
Yeah, this should have been explained long ago. So the fact that they're doing a movie called Spiral from the Book of Saw has me intrigued even more.
Well, people are stupid.
We would have seen it by now.
Well, people are stupid and they don't remember that Billy has the spiral on his face. It's simple as that because he's never been front and center on the cover of the of the cover art of any of these movies. People's limited friggin' memory. That's their first thing to do. Oh, they see that. Oh, wow, it's a ripoff of a Dreamcast. And it's like you said, no, asshole. It's been around forever. Let me say this. I try to make it work because and this is why I love the series. Because in most instances, not all, it makes sense. I can sit down and tell you what happened and why it's possible for it to happen. There are a couple of plot conveniences, but every movie has plot conveniences. But I will be the first person to criticize something if I think that it's ludicrous and it shouldn't work, and I'll be the first guy to praise what's great about it. There is much more great things about this franchise than bad things, and that's why I wave its flag. That's why I defend it when people say it's this and this and it's not a great series. I'm like, you're nuts, because everything you see here, they explain later. People say it's convoluted. No, it's not convoluted. It's fucking explained. It makes sense to me. Who's that?
Ludicrous.
That's ludicrous. Luda!
That is ludicrous. Now, see, gotta watch the vid. And I can meet you to a certain degree there as well, Dave.
We'll get into
sure. I'll defend it. I'll defend it for certain things. Other things are a little lazy. I think the not lazy. Sorry, let me read it. I think what the problem is we're getting the gore here that would have made me come in my pants and all over the place when I was shit. There goes me hitting my thing when I was 15 years old. 16, whatever. This series would have been my favorite, no question, because it showed me everything that was cut out of the movies that we watched back in the day. What I'm finding though now is it's just like the show stops for these sequences, and they're a little much. Some of them are great. Other ones I'm like, okay, come on, like how much more can we see this? And that it does make me love what I've said here before. Instead of the lingering of the death sequences, the in-out done of a Friday the 13th or typical slasher movie where you got in, the kill happened, you typically got a gory surprise, a happy ending, and you're out. Done. Now it's lingering on it, so you're seeing every grisly detail, and instead of loving every minute of it, I'm kind of like, okay, come on, it's making my stomach churn now, and instead of feeling gleeful about it, I'm like, okay, let's get the movie going.
Really?
And I think a lot of the movies fall victim to these sequences, which they could have still been just as effective by trimming it back a little bit, not censoring themselves. I'm just saying by not stopping dead in its tracks to showcase it. And what's great about it is what we've already talked about, the story elements that they smartly, they intelligently spread out a little bit into each episode again, or installment. It's almost like we're watching a TV show or a movie, but they're feature length. and they just put a little bit more explanation in each one, and it's enough to keep us all going, holy shit, that's great. But really, in the big picture, it's very small, and they probably could have combined a couple of these. So smart, yes, because it was a money-making machine, and each installment has its pluses, but overall, they're very episodic, and I find it very soap opera-ish, and that's why
that's exactly why I love it.
I agree. I think that's why I love it too. I think that it does pick up, and it's a story. It's one giant story. I mean, how many times do we complain about movies going from sequel to sequel with no continuity?
Yeah.
This is the fucking opposite, the exact opposite.
And that's what I'm saying. They give you just enough. That's why I'm saying I get giddy. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure it was enough for there to be 8 installments already. But again, who could argue, because Friday the 13th did it for 12. So I guess
want 20 installments. I will never get tired of watching a Saw film and waiting for that last 10 minutes when that music kicks in.
It's brilliant.
That's it. Sometimes that was the saving grace of these installments, is that you waited until that end part and you're like, okay, and then you base it on that fucking end part.
I got to admit, Jigsaw, I only saw it once. I haven't rewatched yet. Like we said, we're doing it 2 at a time, so I haven't rewatched part 8 since I saw it in the theaters. And I wasn't a diehard fan of it, but I'm looking forward to giving it a second view. The only one, though, that I felt throughout the franchise that really didn't drive the story forward, it was just sort of like a filler, like you're saying, was just sort of like there for the sake of almost like a cash grab, was part 5.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that, and I disagree wholeheartedly. That was Hoffman's movie. It was 100% the rise of Hoffman and why he's important to it. I love it.
See, I feel like it did nothing, but it did nothing to drive the movie forward. I feel like they could have done it and brought the movie forward. It just sort of like was very self-contained, I thought.
You could say that about part 3 as well. One that everybody loves.
Don't you dare.
I know. Holy Grail. Everybody loves it. But you could easily say about that too. However, we're jumping the gun. I just wanted, we were getting into the first one, and then I said, I think you do have to kind of fall onto the series as well to make it sense and give it some context as well. But look back, we could go back to the first one. But this is what we're going to be talking about. I think we're going to have to bring the series into it as well. But from a first movie, I put this on a pedestal. It was one of the ones I think even till recently had it at a 10 out of 10. I'm not sure if I still have it at a 10 out of 10.
I'm right there with you. Right there.
It's funny, really, because I was not dreading when going into Saw 1. I think the last time I went around and watched them all, because usually when I watch them, I'll watch the whole damn thing. So I remember when I'm thinking about the Saw series, I'm thinking about those really cool tie-ins that I spoke about and that I adore and I love. And then seeing part 1, this is my mind now. I'm thinking it's just going to be a jump off to all that stuff, but I'm not going to get all that really great, all the great traps and all the great other stuff and all the great tie-ins and retconning that I love about the sequels in this one, that it's going to be mellow and I'm not going to enjoy it as much this time. And that did not happen at all. I was fucking glued to the screen the whole time and in for the ride. Watching this movie is like watching a movie like Seven. Yeah, it's different than all the others. Saw, the original Saw as a movie, if they never made any sequels, it's one of these situations, and I hate to say it because it sounds cheap, but a lot of times the sequels end up ruining the reputation of the original. And I think if Saw was just made in 2004 and there was never a sequel, and I'll have a funny story later, but if there were never a sequel to it, it would still be on the pedestal that it deserved to be. Yes. I think people look at the sequels and they tear the whole thing down and they kind of discount Saw in a way where they're like, well, Saw was okay, but it was really a this and a really a that. I'm like, no. If you just watch Saw, it's really no different than watching Seven. It's fucking brilliantly written. I think it is start to finish. And I don't know. I love it. I love Saw still.
Here's the difference, though. Here's the difference. Some of the directing choices and ending choices that they established in Saw and carried through the series are exactly my deterrents of the series as well. That rapid and the rapid editing, I'm not a fan of.
At the time, though.
Yeah, that's a product of the time, unfortunately. It's dated now.
Yeah.
But I like it, but I don't care.
It doesn't bother me.
How is it different than watching a slasher in the 80s? It's a product of its time. Big fucking deal. You're not going to get away with it now, but this is 2004, and it became film. It was the filmmaking style. Just like now, what I complained about when I watched Halloween 18 was that everything was on a close up. Everything was magnified. Everything was like a close up. And I remember having a discussion. I think it was through text, and I go, "Is this just something that modern movies do now, and I'm only noticing it in Halloween because it's a new?" And someone said, "Yeah, a lot of movies. This is the trend in movies that everything is on their close up lens for some reason." I'm like, okay. So one day, 20 years from now, we're going to watch movies from 2018 and we're going to see them like, oh, that's what they were doing. It's just, so in a way, because it's specific to this series, I don't know. It's almost, I can't say it's nostalgia. I guess maybe it is. I guess I can have nostalgia for the 2000s. Why not?
I have great nostalgia for this. I saw the first 7. I'm not sure if I saw the first one opening night, but I saw the previous 6 after that opening day with my mother. And we were just
well, not with my mother.
I thought you saw it with my mother. I was like, oh,
not with your
twice.
Mother either.
Guys, I guess it's because my kids were young. I actually only saw 2 of these in the theater, if you could believe it. 2.
I've seen all 8 in the theater. I love it. I'll be there opening day for Spiral. It's very much nostalgic for me. But I do agree there are some issues with part 1 as a standalone film. But as it builds into the others, I think it actually makes part 1 better.
Oh, yeah, you know what? Some of the explanation. See, that's what I love about it. Because as you're watching, and he's watching, it's his own sick game, and there's the peephole and everything else, and you're thinking, well, how did he have the knowledge? Because what he says in that one trap for the guy, not the guy with the burn, the guy. Okay, Paul had a suicide attempt, and that's why he ended up in that thing, and he got all cut up trying to climb out. You have 2 hours to climb out, and I'm thinking, how does he know that Paul had a suicide attempt? But later on, when you get the information you get then, all this stuff can be, that's what I love about it, is that the additions of Hoffman explain a lot.
Well, look, in part 2, when he has the case files. Not all. He has the case files of and the mugshots of each of the victims in the house in part 2, and Matthews and them in part 2 don't even question it. But I'm like, oh, Hoffman. But there should have been a line in part 2 that says, how does he have all these files? How does he know Matthews was the arresting officer? How does he have all that? They don't even say it. They should have been one throwaway line in there. But to me, I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. This is Hoffman. Like
it almost seems like it's funny because it's almost like they obviously made the first movie and came up with the sequel idea, but I feel like it was when after the success of 2 was so huge, they said, okay, we've got something here, and then came up with the concept for 3, 4, 5, and probably 6 in a treatment of like, here's how we're going to play it out and do one a year almost.
And I think they did a good job of
work.
Yeah, they did a good job of throwing that into 2 also, specifically the scene where he's planting the key in the eye. I mean, that's really, I'm not going to say it's an iconic scene, but that's a very important scene because obviously, you don't know if they're going to go beyond 2 if 2 fails. So they have Jigsaw sort of limp to the guy, and the limp perfectly explains in the end, spoiler, that it's Dr. Gordon, which is perfect.
Stop it.
Perfect. If it ended any other way, no, I know you hate that, but if it was any other ending in part 7, I'm sorry, I think fans would have hated it even more.
So you're probably right, but we're not like we that's the thing about this. We can't. We're talking about these individually and whatnot as well, so we can't get to 7 yet. But
Jigsaw was limping too, don't you remember?
I'm saying that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it was perfect because Jigsaw limped, but it also justifies it being Dr. Gordon because he removed his foot. No, because I don't buy Jigsaw being able to perform surgery in someone's eye and put a key behind there, but Dr. Gordon I do since he was a surgeon. So
yeah, but the thing is, I understand that. And I was going to get to retcon it that way. I don't think anybody questioned that at the time. I don't think anybody was watching it. And I don't think anybody was watching the movie and said, oh, well, like me, for example, when I saw the first time, I loved it. At no point did I say to myself, how did he know that this guy attempted suicide? The thought never even fucking crossed my mind. Now, upon so many more views and doing it for a podcast and everything else, I'm like, and because I have fun with the whole, the future and the Hoffman and everything, I'm like, okay, that's cool. Now, theoretically, he could have known. What if fucking Paul was his aunt's neighbor's friend? Oh, did you hear fucking Paul Jones? He tried to kill himself. Oh, really? He's got a good life. What to do? It can be explained.
I want to see that in the flashback.
Well, you hear about that. That's what I'm saying. Is when you're watching the movie, that doesn't cross your mind. You're so wowed by everything else. It's just plot convenience. There's a difference between plot convenience and shit that doesn't make sense. And when I see it, I'm gonna call it for it. But like Christian said about how does he have those files? When you watched Saw 2 the first time, I guarantee you that didn't pop into your head. Oh, geez, how does he have these files?
No, it doesn't. But it's different now. You got
Same thing with Dr. Gordon in the Eye. When you watched it, Saw 2 the first time in the opening sequence, you weren't saying to yourself, oh, now how the hell did this freaking John Kramer put that into this guy's eye? I guarantee that was the furthest thing from your fucking mind.
No, the question I had was, why did they say the hint is this, and then show an X-ray of it being right in his eye? Like you didn't give him a hint. You actually told him exactly where the fucking key was. That's what I questioned.
That's the torture of the game. He only had a minute anyway. He wasn't gonna cut that eye out. He wanted to show him where it was. It's more torture.
One hot minute.
One hot minute. Yes.
No, that's true, Dave. That's true. But again, we're reviewing it as a franchise now. It's. I mean, if we were reviewing this the year it came out, it'd be totally different. And yeah, those things wouldn't bother you. But as of any franchise builds, connectivity and putting the plot together, I think this one does it better than pretty much every other franchise.
It's great.
They don't restart storylines. They don't restart storylines. You gotta give them credit for that. Even if you think it's ridiculous, they did not restart a storyline. Maybe Jigsaw did. I don't know, but I still feel like that storyline's gonna continue and somehow connect.
But here we get the movie presented to us as if it's a standalone film, and we're okay with it for the most part, and then we'll come back and question it, and there will be some people that watch and go, wait a minute, how did this guy set everything fucking up and then have these dead people and whatever? Was it that guy that he helped and was testing and whatever? And how do we know? And then, again, as the series gets further on, they do explain how he set up, how he was able to play dead, how he was able to do everything, how they got the people in there. Everything's explained. Now, that's what I loved about some of the sequels, is the fact that they went back and showed this stuff. Had they not showed it to us, I would have been fine with it. But it's great that they do show that stuff.
Yeah.
Because most movies wouldn't think about that. So that if there's haters of the first movie, then I would say you owe yourself to watch 2 and 3 just to show that they actually cared about this, and then they go back and they explain a lot of things.
Yeah.
Whether you want it explained or not, that's what they do. But as a standalone, like I said, it was great. The fact that I wish the first one was called Jigsaw, because it was kind of like a jigsaw puzzle in the way that it was.
This one really should have been called Jigsaw.
To be honest.
Yeah. And they should have gone to Saw.
Yeah.
So, because it was the most puzzle-esque movie. And, like, again, other than the editing and filmmaking choice that James Wan chose for this, in some cases or in some sequences, I like the way it's presented, and for the most part how it unfolds. I guess it's before that third act kicks in. That second act just dragged for me this last view a little bit.
Tiny bit. This one's the longest one, but for me, I have no problems with the editing choices. Like we said, it's a product of its times. It's coming up on 20 years almost already. The original short was like 2002, so that's almost 20 years old already. And I think the only slight issue I have, and this will happen with any film, especially as it becomes a franchise, is building Jigsaw's legacy into this sort of you have a choice, whereas in part one, a lot of these characters didn't have a choice. And going back to the Dr. Gordon thing, I talk about how it makes sense in part 2 that he's the one doing the surgery. Look, in part 1, there's a surgery. Amanda's trapped. She has to cut the key out of the guy's stomach. That wasn't Dr. Gordon who put the key in the stomach, so that could be, I could be complaining about that. Well, who does it? John Kramer's a brilliant engineer. That's the thing we know about him. So why can't he learn other stuff? So
Sure.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it too.
Sorry.
But again, this guy is not part of a game. He's just a question mark on his belly. So that's my biggest issue with part 1.
That's a note. Yes,
Yeah.
the guy. That's not a game at all. That's just murder. What did he do? I agree.
Yeah.
That was the guy.
He's got no choice. Like you said, Adam's game is not really a game with the exception of the key.
Right.
Jeff Jeff, he even says, is part of something bigger than himself before he gets the drills start coming in on his head. I mean, they do.
Whatever happened to him?
They never brought him back.
How did they not bring him back in a sequel? That's what I want to know.
There were so many characters throughout this franchise I thought were going to show back up in Jigsaw. There was one character in part 2 I thought was going to show back up in Jigsaw, but it didn't happen. But those are like my few minor quibbles with it.
What were you going to say, Christian?
I was getting to like.
You had a question.
Mine was like I'm just trying to think of the things that like I question when rewatching it. Of course, how did dude from Lost? Why can't I think of his name now? The main guy that you think is the bad guy for the protagonist for the whole thing, and or antagonist. Sorry, Zep. How does he break into the house for that one creepy scene? Because aren't they in an apartment or are they in a house?
Oh, he's got a house.
Because Danny Glover's looking through the window from another apartment, is he not?
I get that, but that's weird. But the thing is, this guy is rich. Have you seen this? If it's an apartment, it's the biggest fucking apartment in history. Have you seen the master bedroom?
I believe it is an apartment, actually. Because
then it's a giant condo. It's fucking big.
Because they show them at the neighbors, like right after they break free. They're at like the Indian couple calling the police.
Oh, yeah, at the end. At the end of the movie.
I thought they were at their house.
Zep somehow broke into the house and somehow got into the, again, only question upon massive rewatches and everything else, because it is a scene, like a nod to
I don't question that. I don't question that.
It is kind of Black Christmassy. I agree. I think Jigsaw just set that up himself. Jigsaw can do all that shit. He may have manipulated it so he could get into that. Because you got to think about it. This is Jigsaw's grand fucking plan. He did everything. He had the pen taken and put at the scene, everything else. It was all about Dr. Gordon. So he had to know where, he knew where his house is. I have no problem with the idea that Jigsaw knew to get him in. And are they apartments? I don't know. I want to say it's something very nice, because even when what's his name? Tap? Is it Tap?
Yeah.
Okay. When Tap drops him off, when he says, Danny Glover's character, and he goes, the sewer lines run under this part of town too.
Yeah.
So he's saying this is a nice area. So that was one of my questions. If he's in this fucking well-to-do area, this fucking head surgeon of this hospital, how the hell is right across the street from him this fucking shithole apartment that he's looking at? That wouldn't be there. You don't have rich folks living directly across here. There's one side of the street. Here's fucking, John Q. Rich, and on this side of the thing, a ghetto-ass place with graffiti on the fucking walls.
Yeah, now that was a major issue, and that brought my major issue, which was the picture, because it's Tap taking the pictures, and he gets the picture of Zep at the window, and with his mind, I mean, he's a little out there at this point. He's no longer on the force. He's doing this sort of private investigation to avenge his partner's death, because he's so convinced it's Gordon at this point. So he sees Zep there. He might think Zep is just some guy cheating with his wife, whatever. But the pictures that Adam finds with the saws in the bathroom are the pictures Adam says he took, and one of them is that Danny Glover shot. How did that end up in there? I know Adam says he was there taking pictures also, but that means he was like right below Danny Glover.
Maybe he was. I think it's the same place.
It was the same place, and he got an exact picture of Zep at the same time. That was the only thing that was just like.
Did Danny Glover hire him on? Was he working with him?
It's not the exact picture.
Danny Glover hired
Danny Glover did hire Adam, so it makes sense. Yeah. Maybe he said, come up here and fucking, this is where I am, or maybe, you know what I'm saying?
But how did the picture of Zep get there?
It's not the exact same picture is what I'm saying. Why can't it be the night before that he took it? And also, remember, we're going back.
So the night he was in the house when the daughter woke up?
I don't see why not. Why is it out of the question? It's not the exact same picture either. The one we see Glover take, he's kind of behind the curtain halfway, and you can make out a face. The other one, he's more front and center. It's a different picture. It's not the exact same snap where you hear the noise of the fucking ching, the picture being taken and all that. I do see what you're saying, because the thought did cross my mind, but I rationalized it. I figured out why. I was like, you know what? It could happen. It's not something I can rule out completely.
Yeah, because he's in the apartment the night before. He's in the apartment when Gordon's in the apartment, so all that could be set up before they even get captured. Okay.
Did they explain the timeline? Because all of a sudden you're cutting back to Danny Glover all crazy, and did they explain how long it's been since he got his neck slit to when he's investigating and in that apartment?
No,
they don't. You just
hold on, time
take
out.
the leap.
T.O., time out. This is what it was. Because there is a question about it. When Dr. Gordon was questioned, he answers Adam. He goes, I know who's doing this. And he explained when he got questioned to kill her. And he said it was either 3 or 5 months ago.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. So around the same time he was questioned, it's reasonable to say that's when Tapp was heavily involved in it. And now this is either 3 or 5 months later. I can't remember what. So then we see him in the state that he's in, and then we see why. Then they flash back to when him and who's his partner? Ken.
Sing. Yeah.
Ken Sing. Yeah. They go to the place. And yes, he can sing. They go to the place.
I was going to crack the exact James jokes. I'm glad you did.
So we know it takes 3 to 5 months for a slit throat to heal.
We also know, but what I like about that, and they do it in another installment as well, is they've established a time frame of like 5-6 months or something to be able to set up the intricacies of this plan and this whole fucking craziness. Because
we see it too.
That's also a question too.
He has a model. We see the model set up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's place. So he's working on this, and he's working on the Billy puppet and everything else. So we're seeing this unfold. This could be a period of 8 months total. From him setting things up, start to finish. Why not?
No, it's really smart, and Jigsaw does a really good job, like, of giving just enough in the clues, like when they discover the gang graffiti. It's like he's 3 steps ahead at all times in the series. Even when he gets killed, he's 9 movies ahead. I mean, he dies in part 3, and he still is as big a character in the films as ever, even though he's not in some of them.
No, it's great.
I love it.
Dude, what I love about this movie, this is why I wasn't bored. The way it's executed, how it opens up with them being in the bathroom. I woke up in a literal shithole. You know what I mean? In an actual shithole, whatever.
Yeah, I went to sleep in a shithole apartment, and I woke up in a literal shithole.
An actual shithole. Yeah, so there he is. So he's doing his thing.
That's a great line.
Yeah, he was funny. He was funny, Leigh Whannell. He had some funny lines. It's like the dead bodies they're not like they are on TV. They don't move.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But then they do. But anyway.
that's funny. That's ironic.
Yeah. So what we see here, the opening, the way it unfolds, we see these 2 men in this situation and what's going on, and how we see it go into flashback mode, and then back, and then a flashback for another time. That's why I'm never bored, because at the time, it's almost like watching, and I just watched this not too long ago, Exorcism of Emily Rose, how that differs from other exorcism movies and exorcist movies, where you're half in the courtroom, present day, and other stuff that's going on, and then they're flashing back to things that happened, her getting possessed, and then the actual exorcism. And that's what I love about that movie. It keeps you engaged the whole time. That's how I feel about this movie, is that the other ones, they do have the flashbacks and stuff, but you're kind of grounded in a certain time period for most of it. But what I love here, that's why it didn't drop for me at all. I was hook, line, and sinker on it, watching every little thing. And then my wife came in about 15 minutes in with questions. I'm like, you don't remember this? You don't remember this? And I'm like, waiting, this is me.
Shut up, I'm trying to watch.
Yeah, shut up. Stop asking me. You can't say that.
I thought you went back to work, for fuck's sake.
But she forgot about Zepp. She forgot about Zepp. She didn't know why this guy was there and what's happening here. And she had a couple other questions. I'm like, just wait. I said, it'll all come out in the wash. Just continue to watch. But that's what I like. That, I don't know. For me, it didn't drop at all. I mean,
look, it's minor as to whether I drop it. But another thing, I would have liked to know why Zepp was chosen.
I know why he was chosen.
Because he was that order.
Well, because he took an interest in him and he spoke to him. He had a connection with some. Hold on, let me finish. He had a connection to this stuff.
Sorry, Dad.
Sorry. Because if I don't get it out, he had a connection to him. He defended. He said, "Listen, his name is John, and he's a very interesting person." That's what he says to Dr. Gordon and the. Okay, so in other words, he finds him an interesting person because they engage in conversation. So he needs somebody. Maybe he only had enough time to do this. Maybe he got sicker than he wanted to in a short time, and then by the time he realized he wanted to do this grand plan, he didn't have a patsy, and now he's in the hospital. So he's trying to figure out how I'm going to do this, and this guy happens to be the only guy that's actually taking the time to engage him in conversation. So they go, okay, let me preach my fucking gospel to this guy and see what's going on. But then again, he's talking to him. He has access to him. He finds a way to poison him. Now, my only question is this. Not so much what you have to say, B. I mean, because you could say, why was the other guy chosen with the fucking question mark on the stomach, and why this and why?
Yeah, but Zepp was a good guy. Zepp is clearly a good guy.
Yeah, but okay.
I know, but that's I'm saying that's like the quibble as to why it might drop a little is because of Jigsaw's. I know it's convenience, but Jigsaw's motto is sort of those who are unappreciative of life, or those who are sort of are dicks, for lack of a better word. Those who are just bad people are the ones put in these games. Whereas Zepp comes across as a nice orderly who took an interest in a patient. So that's what I'm saying.
But is that the story that's established after this movie? Do they really establish that in this? They really don't.
They never do. But he engages in.
Yeah. Sorry.
So I'm saying I should just forget it and just say maybe just Zepp isn't such a good guy.
Well, I'm just saying he engages in conversation with Zepp and nobody else. So maybe he knows something. Maybe Zepp. If you watch the way Zepp operates, he doesn't look like he's a reluctant guy. He kind of does act like a dick a couple times.
Zepp is clearly not a good guy. He was going to kill Mrs. Gordon.
Well, because he had to, but that's different.
And fast.
But there's two ways to do it. The
Zepp
way he carries on.
Zip.
Huh? Aquazip.
No, don't even worry. I don't even want to go back.
Don't even worry. Okay. The way Zepp carries on in this movie, you see him do certain things and say certain things that he doesn't have to do that. He could say, hey, listen, this is the game and I have to do this and you guys have to play along. But instead, he chooses to act a certain way. As a matter of fact, there was a scene that they ended up taking out because Juan actually said it went a little too far of Zepp sniffing the fucking panties of the mother. So they were kind of going to make him a little bit reprehensible.
Yeah,
so,
and there are kind of scenes like that now with him, tormenting the daughter in her room. And then even when they're tied up, he's sort of like running the gun over the daughter to the mother. And she's like, don't touch him. Yeah. All right. So you know what? That's fine. Because you know what it was? And this is fine. I'm totally taking it off the list of issues. Is the way Dr. Gordon says, oh, Zepp, he takes an interest in a lot of the patients. I think that's just sort of like a
condescending.
Yeah, exactly. A condescending remark just in that moment. He doesn't know Zepp except by name. So Zepp probably is sort of a scumbag, and Jigsaw picks up on it. Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, there you go. Now here's my issue with Zepp. Here to help. Now here's my issue with Zepp, and there's going to be no one's going to be able to answer this one for me. Maybe okay. Let me give you guys credit. Maybe you will. No one ever has. Why the fuck when Zepp finds out he's poisoned? Okay, and Jigsaw says only I have the antidote. Why the fuck does he have to play the game? If you were poisoned, wouldn't you just go to a hospital and say, "Hey, I've been poisoned. Can you flush this out of my system?"
Specifically, the hospital you work
at. There you go. A patient here has poisoned me. Please, I don't know what happened. Here's the tape. They say they've poisoned me. Can you help me out?
Here's one thing I do know. Oh, sorry, Christian. Go ahead. I'll answer. I'll say after you.
No, as long as you're not going to forget your thought. I was just going to say, again, they kind of allude to the fact that John Kramer gets into the minds. Again, this is the funny thing. Not in this movie, they don't. This is something that you question afterwards because John Kramer seems to get into the minds of the people he's with. His ability to get into that. But again, we do not learn this in this movie. In fact, there's very little of Tobin Bell in this film, other than him really waking up from the ground at the end and a couple of flashbacks of him in the hospital bed and stuff, right? Like
and when he's chased.
At the end, you saw it says Tobin continued. No, my thought, and that's that's a good point. See, that he is psychological, and that's fine. You could justify it, but I was thinking this, and I've only know this because I've seen it in other TV shows or documentaries or stuff with poison. Especially, we learned in part 2 that he uses these poisons that are fast acting and have a time limit. If you don't know what the poison is, that's inside of you, even going to a hospital, they're not going to be able to help you because it's going to take too long for them to figure out. So that's probably my best guess is you've been poisoned. It's a very specific poison. Could they have put a scene of this in there? Maybe, but I just justified that he has no idea what the poison is. John does. John has the antidote. The only way he's going to be able to save himself at this point, given the time frame, is by playing the game rather than going off on his own to a hospital. Because I've seen it before where people get to the hospital in TV shows or movies, but they can't identify what type of poison it is, and then they die. So That's how I saw it.
I can accept that then. Okay, there you go. So I if anyone's gonna fix it, it's gonna be one of you guys. Okay, I can accept it.
I see.
Now,
or him. Yeah.
2 more questions. One of you two. Here's something else. How the hell and why? First of all, how in the hell does a rich guy, head fucking surgeon at a hospital, has his own office, everything else? How can he tell the attorney, how come you were here at the hospital with your alibi? And he says, my wife had the car that night. How the fuck do you not have 2 cars? Every fucking asshole has 2 cars that's married. This fucking rich-ass doctor, he has a BMW, which we see. His family doesn't have more than 1 car. Oh, well, guess you're stuck today, buddy. You're the surgeon of a fucking hospital. Guess you got to hoof it home. You know?
Where, maybe he takes, public transport.
I guess. I just found it.
Yeah, no, it is kind of a comical thing.
1 car, come on.
I also had an issue with that set piece garage. I know it turns out that it's not at the hospital, that we find out it's, outside the motel where he meets the girl he's cheating with. I don't know. It just looks like a makeshift garage that they made it out of a barn. It just, if you look at the walls, it just looks odd.
Maybe it was because they had no outside shots in this movie.
Yeah.
They couldn't afford them. Everything was done inside.
It just looked weird to me. Like, it didn't, like, I don't care. Like, but it just was like, this just doesn't look like a parking garage.
Did you say everything was done inside?
Yeah, all the shooting was inside shots. If you watch the movie, there are no outside camera shots.
Which explains then maybe even how they did the car chasing.
Which I think is cool.
It's
cool because it's sped up.
It's a little cartoony. But that'll explain it then. And then it was I guess an interesting choice. But
But one more question.
At the end of the day, it's still. What's your one more question?
I said I had 2 pertaining.
Where'd your ears go? That's your question.
I had 2 pertaining to Dr. Gordon. Okay, that was that one there. The second one was this. Why would they let him, when he gets off, when they find out that, okay, he was messing with this girl, he went to this hotel, whatever, and they're going to let him go. Why would they let him, for no reason at all, sit in to hear fucking Amanda's testimony? If you were a subject of fucking murder by a serial killer, you went and it turns out, well, you're not the serial killer. Okay, they're not going to say, hey, come over here. We want you to listen to the one person that got away from this serial killer. That doesn't make sense.
They would have never
thought about it.
Yeah.
I think they suspected him still, maybe.
No.
And they
they did suspect him, but it's weird.
They came in and told him you're free.
Even if you don't suspect him,
yeah.
You would let like a psychiatrist sit in on that, not a surgical oncologist. So you're right. It doesn't make sense, but they didn't
never
suspect
noticed it till now.
Yeah.
Right, it's just funny. Why would they do that? Here, come here, listen to this testimony from this thing, and they basically force him to stay. He's like, I'd rather not. He goes, no, listen, we really want you to stay and listen to this. I'm like, okay, all right. And I found it interesting when she told her story. First of all, I found it cool that when she took the mask off with the reverse bear trap, that it was literally the last second. Boom.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. And then I like that they refer to her as Mandy. So she was called Mandy. I like to think that she's Mandy here, even though the tape says, hello, Amanda. I still like to think that Mandy is this person and Amanda is the person that's been, gone through the trials and is better for it on the other side.
Mandy, well, you came and you gave without taking. But I sent you away, Mandy.
You should be singing that, Dave. You gotta give Marco his fix.
I know, right? Oh, she's great though. And I love what he says. Awesome, see. I love what he says at the end. Most people are, so ungrateful to be alive, but not you, not anymore. That shit's great. It's great. And what do you say? Game over? Oh, fucking do that. Oh my God. And what he says later, and he's like, yes, I'm sick, officer. Sick from the disease eating away at me inside. Sick of people who don't appreciate their blessings. Sick of those who scoff at the suffering of others. Sick of it all. And he fucking stabs him. I fucking love it. Love it.
And the more you say that, and the more I've watched it, and the more you mentioned Seven earlier, he is just a knockoff kind of what was his name, John Doe?
Yeah, he has a John Doe.
The serial killer in Seven.
Did anyone notice the light in the bear's eye? I never noticed it till this time. The little girl has a teddy bear, and she has one that she's sleeping with that she holds, and then she has a big bear next to her. And I rewound it 3 times because maybe it was an accident of them actually filming, but there was like a light that appeared in one of the eyes of the bear, and I had to rewind it a couple of times to see it. It was weird. It's almost like a flashlight. Like it was like if it was a different kind of movie, you would think that either A, the bear was gonna come to life, the stuffed animal, or B, there was a camera behind its eye. Like it lit up just for a second. It was kind of interesting.
It was a reverse bear.
Yeah. So anyway, it was just something I noticed. I don't know. And we get an exploding head. How about that one? Fucking what's the name? Boom! And the gore afterwards is great with the gunshots.
Well, the gore in this one is definitely more, I won't say subtle, but subtle compared to the rest of the fucking franchise.
Definitely.
True.
So,
it does.
And it's still effective here, because again, what the sequels were like, they're like, oh my god, that's the guy with the traps. The sequels focused on those traps so much and became such a predominant part of the actual film, whereas here it really is secondary to the film. It's like if every one of the other Nightmare on Elm Street movies just focused on Freddy's claws or something. I don't know. Like, I mean, it's an element of the first movie which made it cool, and I think that's where what they took, and they decided now we got to go balls deep and crazy with these fucking with these traps in the sequels.
Oh, the traps become the highlights though of some of these movies.
It's true. They do.
They're
You really
fantastic.
notice it when Saw 2 opens that way. It opens with the trap. It's like setting the precedent, and then it was something they continued to do through the rest of the series. So like, how's this one going to start? It became something different. But
you think Jigsaw was suspicious of Amanda the minute she survived her trap? I know she says he helped them and stuff, but when she was willing to cut open into that guy to survive, it obviously spoke to her willingness to do what she has to do and her will to live. But it probably also said to John, she's not so good. Like, she just killed, like, because she clearly sees that guy come alive and stabs him right before he, like, fully awakens. She knows he's not dead.
Well, at that point, it's survival of the fittest.
Oh, yeah, but it's weird because, he's testing her a few movies later because
Yeah, but he put the guy there. So
that's
who
true.
is he to
That's
judge
true.
her?
No, that's true, but I'm saying it's an inconsistency.
Maybe he likes her for it because she's willing to go the extra mile if she has to. He'd rather not. He does want to play fair, and we see that later on with what happens in 2 and 3 and everything. He wants the game to not be a fucking rigged game, and
But he rigged so many games in the first one. That's the only issue.
Well,
many of them.
But it's a different character, and he doesn't come out and say something. You know what I mean? The character in this movie maybe isn't righteous. We don't hear him speak on any of that until part 2, when he says, "I've never killed anyone." Then you know what I mean? And then he has that whole speech with the detective and goes into all that. So it seems like that's the platform he takes in the second one. In this one, we don't know. We know that he is punishing people.
He's still righteous on his
he is punishing. True, he is punishing a guy that fucking attempted suicide. He is punishing a guy that's burned so many people with his fucking act, insurance fraud or whatever the fuck he was doing. And but he also has to take people and also use them. It's almost like for the greater good, I'm going to sacrifice one to help the other. You know what I mean?
That's what he says straight out with Jeff, that he's a pawn in a bigger game, and I guess that's what he's doing with this question mark guy. But the minute he truly gets to see Amanda there, and it's not surprising that she falls victim to his game a few movies later, because he has to know. I mean, he studies people's character, that right at that moment, even though she did what she had to do to survive, he sees the type of person she is.
But she gives him props.
Oh, she does, yeah. But the brutality of her has got to immediately in that film put something in his mind. It's like, I gotta keep an eye on her. And then, of course, 2 movies later, he's testing her because she's rigging traps.
But she survived and nobody else did.
Yeah.
At this time.
She had 5 minutes to get that bear trap off, though. That guy only had 1 minute to cut his eyeball open.
Well, that's right.
That's not fair. Give him 5 minutes.
It was 5 minutes?
Yeah, she
For
had
her?
5 minutes.
That
Yeah.
was something that after when we watched when we got further in with the eyeball, when we were like questioning how did she cut into the guy and get the key out, then it was only
Yeah, she
5
had
minutes.
5.
That
I was
helps.
paying attention to the timers this time to see what the time limit was.
What-
on.
Nice.
Two things I wanted to bring up still were, well, I'll start with the escape first because so Dr. Gordon escapes. Yet in the only thing I don't think they've done well other than they show at the beginning of the 7th one, him sort of at the beginning parts of that escape, don't they show Amanda go back in to take care of Adam in one of them? Like, wouldn't she have seen a trail of blood? Wouldn't she have passed Dr. Gordon on the way? Like, there's something seems to be that they've left out there. Like, he's on his way out. Amanda went in. I'm assuming within like an hour or two of the whole thing being done.
No, because Jigsaw got to him first. See, that's how much Jigsaw knew Amanda was an issue, because he got to Dr. Gordon and kept Dr. Gordon a secret from Amanda very quickly. I mean, granted,
Okay.
Amanda's game is a couple of months prior, because she survived, but he gets to him first. He's always coming up with contingency plans.
But you're
So that was the
talking
only thing
Saw
because
2
they never.
and Saw 7.
Well, yeah, we're also I mean exactly.
Nothing to
but
do with this
so,
in particular.
No, but he would get
Not
to
that I
him,
care.
take
I'm
him
just
out.
making sure that that's what that you realize that.
Then I'll bring it up in Saw 2 again. But because at the end of the day, he leaves. That's what we know. Oh, I guess you're right, because Jigsaw would have passed him on the way out. Game over. Hey,
Yeah.
Draggy, you're coming with me. Yeah.
He got a case of them bandfoots.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, we'll get that. There's a lot of fucking foot carnage in these movies, as we know. But for a movie that you think they're going to show a lot of when he saws his leg off, they show, but they do give you the psychological. The way they edit it is what makes it good, and the sound effects that makes it more cringe-inducing.
It's TCM-esque, where you think it's gorier than it is.
Yep.
Meat hook, but not, and then you don't see the impact as much. The other thing is acting. Oh, sorry. Well, you finish your thought, and then I'll get into mine.
That scene in particular, my wife was watching that part with me, and she's pulling away and she's looking away because they show the first one, and then I tell her, so she's expecting it to be gory, and the blood splashes. You see the slice, and then you see, the way you just described it, and I said, wait a minute. I said, let me tell you. I go, believe it or not, this first movie really isn't that gory. So it's funny that you mentioned that and the reputation of it. It's the same exact thing. Because in her mind, even though last time I watched this series, the whole thing was for Banana Laser, start to finish. She watched it with me. But she just, I guess, forgot. But I told her, I go, this first movie really isn't, the most gore you really see is Amanda with the fucking intestines, cutting the guy up.
And like the shotgun blast, but those are all more traditional style, like impact door shots, which are enjoyable. Like that Amanda with the intestines, and that was it. Like that's as gruesome as it got. And they probably could have shot around that as well. But my other thing was the acting at the end. Dr. Gordon and Adam are good throughout the whole movie. When shit starts to hit the fan and Dr. Gordon's like, I come back for you. And whatever.
She's in shock. He just cut his foot
off.
off.
I know, but I can't be the only one that's
like. Oh, come on. The fake electrocution is more laughable than that.
Yeah.
But that's supposed to be funny.
I know.
Bad acting.
I know, but I feel like Lee Whannell's accent sometimes goes in and out in this.
Never noticed that. I didn't realize he was Australian or whatever the fuck he is until I listened to he was a guest on Shockwaves actually with Rob G. And he was hanging out. They were talking about something and he was on there. And I go, wow, all this time I didn't know that he was. I thought, there he is, Rob G. I didn't know that he was American. So this time watching it for the first time with that knowledge, I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to hear an accent crack, and I didn't. So
see, I felt like there was like a point where it almost came out.
I hear you, Brandon. It was when he says, "Put another shrimp on the barbie, Dr. Gordon."
You can't say that.
It was the funny part with Dr. Gordon is how white he turned. He was so white.
It looked good. It was believable.
It was
literally he was.
He looked more like a Dawn of the Dead zombie. I thought he was like, I guess he's white. I thought he was blue.
I think you said Dawn of the Dead. D-O-N-N-A.
Yeah, Don and
Like
Ellie
Donna-
are dead.
Not an
Don
alley
and
of the dead. He's wearing a white beater and everything.
Hello.
I was gonna say, here come the zombies. Hello.
Goodbye, Foot.
I like Dave's Don and Ellie impression.
We'll come back for you. How about you just pass the stall? Someone will go out to two of us. We'll walk out together. We'll just hold each other in arms.
Brothers in arms. Without feet.
You know what? I thought that. Why did he ask for the saw?
Would you? Okay, that's a good question. I'll ask you that question about Adam. Okay? And then another question about Adam. First question is this. Would you, if in that position, if given the chance, would you trust the guy to come back who already cut off his own foot and wait? Or would you say, fucking pass it to the fucking dude on your left and fucking let me saw off my own foot?
I would have done what Matthews did. I would have crushed my own foot and slipped it out.
Oh, no, that was even worse. And we'll get to that. I was like, my dad, I'm like, that's better than sawing your own fuck. And why not just saw this part off?
Just saw the
This
toes
part
off.
right here. Yeah. The whole
Fleshy
fucking
part.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just slide it out of the thing. You think take it right off there. No one's tying shit around their fucking
he
ankles.
tied-
Or maybe
he
Dr.
tied.
G did.
Dr.
He
Gordon
did.
tied his
Yeah.
own
Later
foot.
on in the series, I think people
The
stopped.
doctor. Right.
How
But still.
about it? Was it in Scary Movie where Dr. Phil cuts off the wrong foot? You remember that? Did you see that? It was spoofed in one of the Scary Movies, and it's Dr.
don't
Phil
remember
and
that.
Shaquille O'Neal in the trap, and Dr. Phil saws off his foot, and Shaq is screaming, and Shaq's like, "It's the wrong foot," and then they show the chain on the other foot. It's so funny.
That's actually pretty funny.
It is really
But
funny.
would you cut
and
off your foot, yes or no? Or would you wait for the guy?
I would like to.
I
I don't know. I don't know if I could. I'd like to think I could do it, but same thing with the eye. The eye. I mean,
Through that
the eye
bone.
is so believable.
It's tough to do, but
I
mean,
would
it's-
be like, I'm fucked. I'm not going to start digging into my eye. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm fucked. Hit 0. Let this thing hit. Like, let's just get this thing done.
Let's get this death over with.
As we've seen through this whole movie, everybody goes through it. Most of these things, I love when they become not winnable. You're like, wait a second here. There's no way for them to win. And they explain it. But we'll get there. We'll get there too.
Second
9
question.
out of 10. No, oh, you have another.
Second question about Adam.
Sure.
When he explains his story about how he's taking pictures and he goes, I remember what happened to me now and everything else, and you see him get kidnapped by, which by the way, I love the look of the pig mask and the fucking the red jacket
Yeah.
and that fucking
Jay-
thing.
Jay
I used to
Zig.
have that guy. Yeah, it's,
Jay-
or Jay Zig, or what would you say before? Well, either way, Jay Zepp. Anyway, no, fuck.
Jay Zepp.
Now, if you remember that scene when the dude comes home. And he knows somebody's in his fucking apartment. He knows this for a fact. He's taking pictures of them, trying to fucking get them out. Number one, okay, to a degree, I could see not fucking running out of your apartment because you want to get a picture. I don't know. Either way,
I
would
would've
you do that? But now the second thing, he sees the fucking doll. He sees Billy sitting there and start laughing. The fucking laughing box, doing his thing. And he takes the time to fucking smash the doll. Would you smash the door? Wouldn't you just get the fuck out of your place at that point?
I would have Gordoned myself out the window. I would have dove out the window and hoped I left.
You would have Dr. Gordon.
Hopefully I'm on the second floor.
I would have cut my feet off before I jumped out the window.
Yeah. There's no reason for this.
I would have nub hopped out the window. No, I agree with you, Dave. The minute that doll started laughing, I would have had the bat and I would have ran out the apartment.
Right. Yeah, fuck that. You're going to hit a doll? What good does that do? You're just opening yourself up to more. While you're whacking the doll, the real killer's going to come behind and whack you. Right?
Yeah. Unless it's you.
I whacked the doll
You
last
might
night.
be the killer.
I'll tell you. And two things about whispering. On the phone call, I like how I like it's like a giallo phone call when he calls up, when he's meeting the girl in the thing, and he's like, Dr. Gordon, remember? And he goes, I know what you're doing. Or something like that. It's a whisper. I like it. And with the black gloves, all giallo stuff. And as a matter of fact, the whole Deep Red connection is that fucking Juan made Billy he was inspired by fucking the scene in Deep Red with the puppet. I think all that stuff's great. And
Dude, that scene. Oh my god, that scene in
So
Deep
awesome.
Red. I nearly
oh,
shit myself the first time I saw that.
Oh, it's fucking phenomenal. He even laughs, not exactly the same way. But the funny thing is, I used to have that laughing box when I was a kid. It was called the laughing bag, and it was a bag, and inside it was a fucking box, and inside, and you press the button, and it did that exact laugh that Billy does. And it gives. One day when I was a kid, I kept doing it to my father at his family party, and he got so annoyed with it. He started smashing it. So he picked it up
Instead
and
of
he's
beating
stepping
me,
on it.
unmerciful.
He said, no, he started smashing it. He started stepping on it and fucking. But the funny part is, as he was doing it to it, it wasn't breaking and it kept laughing at him. So everybody in that fucking place was laughing at him while he was trying to fucking do it because the thing was laughing back at him. I'll never forget it.
Ugh.
Oh, shit. Anyway, and the whisper on the tape.
What?
I'm a bad man. What was that? I'm a bad man. Who did that?
I don't know what that was. It was me. It was that Mr. T in a box. That's all. You had a laughing thing. I had the Mr. T in the box.
What
That's
did it say? I'm a
ludicrous.
bad man. Yeah,
It
ludicrous.
said, "Shut up, fool."
Oh, shut up, fool! Oh, that's fucking great. And how about the whisper in the beginning when he's listening to the tape and it says, what is it? Whisper, follow your heart, right? Follow your heart or something
Yeah.
like that. Is that the only time in all these Saw movies where there's a whisper on a fucking anything, a tape or anything presented to anyone? I have to say yes.
I think you're correct.
And that's something else about this movie that's different than the others. There's a little more mystery. There he is, Zep.
It went from a whisper to a scream.
Indeed.
Oh, Zep.
Okay, guy.
It's the rules.
Anyway.
It's the rules. It's the rules.
Yes.
Them's the rules. Them's the rules.
Oh, for Christ's sake, 9 out of 10. I said it earlier. I already let the cat out of the bag. 9 out of 10. It used to be a 10. It's now a 9 out of 10.
Okay. I'll tell you this. Here's the story I was getting at. When I saw this movie the
I'm
first
sorry.
time. No, not that. I mentioned this at the beginning of the show that I had something later. The first time I saw this movie, the fucking way it ends, when he stands up and he has that revelation, and we've talked about this before. I think we on the top 20 endings or whatever we've discussed it before. But when he does that, and when that happens, and he says fucking game over, and he closes the door, and you still hear fucking the guy screaming, and it goes to black.
Yes.
So fucking incredible, so great. I was so floored and overwhelmed by it that I saw this movie. It was a premiere at the Palms before anyone else got to see it. It was like the North American premiere. That's what they.
African premiere.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't understand.
You can't say that.
Yeah.
It was supposedly the North American premiere of this movie. It was at the Palms. It was on a Wednesday night in Vegas. So I got up from this movie, and I was floored, and so was my date. And I got up and I said, and it's funny because of how I feel about the series, but because I was so impressed with the movie and the ending and everything as a fucking experience, I said, I hope they never make a sequel to this movie. Literally, that's what I said to her as we stood up because I was so impressed and I didn't want this movie to be fucking shit on or anything else because it blew me away. And when this movie ended yesterday, and when those credits hit, I still fucking applauded and said fucking bravo.
Did you say I hope they don't make a sequel to it again?
I hope I don't have to watch more movies for this fucking podcast. But I always said it's 10 out of 10. I am going to go down a tad bit and say 9.5.
Interesting. I'm right there with you, Dave. I came down a half a point, 9.5 out of 10.
Wow.
Interesting. We all came down a bit, eh?
Yeah.
Just a
Me
bit.
more so than you two. A half a point.
Does it make it or does it not make it now?
It makes it. 28
Oh,
out of 30.
Still.
Just makes it. Oh, good. It deserves to be. Oh, look. Thanks. Good.
Lots of cool stuff in there that we didn't even talk about. You know, the key, the bullet, the cigarettes, just everything. Just the way it all builds. X marks the spot, the wallet scene.
Yeah, the cigarette.
Where he
turn
gets
the lights off.
Yeah, the poison cigarette.
Yeah.
Just all the subtle clues. Just Jigsaw's he's great. I love whodunit type of stuff where it's really contained and you just don't know what's going on. It's very like Agatha Christie-esque. where where it's like the answer's right in front of you, where you're presented with a group of people, and everything's right there in front of you for you to figure out, and then at the end it just gets you every time, like a Sixth Sense type thing.
It's a good comparison, actually.
Thank you.
For sure. Okay, Rob G is selling the Sega Dreamcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Sega.
Oh my God! Oh wait, that's from part 6, isn't it?
Maybe.
I thought from an overhead, I thought those were frogs. Don't those people look like frogs from an overhead? No.
What people? You can't say that.
Look at the people in the in the
I
wheel.
didn't even see them.
It's part 6. It's the part 6 wheel trap.
It is the wheel.
Oh, well, I'm gonna take it off then. I was just putting it on because it was a cool background.
No, it's fine. Leave it.
There's nobody knew unless Brandon opened his big fucking mouth. He'd be okay.
They thought you thought it was the frog Dreamcast.
Is it a frog?
Don't the legs look like? Look at the legs right above Christian's head to his right.
Legs.
To your right. Look at like the person's legs sticking out. Don't they look? Yeah, that person. Don't they look like frog legs? Don't they kind of do, right?
Yes, they do.
Like,
It's like a frog.
He sees it now. Okay.
That's fucking great.
That's why I'm like, what is this picture of frogs?
Fucking frogs. I'm glad you guys are seeing this. Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay, Saw 2.
Saw 2. All right.
Frog 2.
Saw 2. Frogger 2. All right. Saw 2 is 1 year later, 2005. Written again by Lee Whannell, also Darren Lynn Bousman. Directed by Darren Lynn Bousman. A detective and his team must rescue 8 people trapped in a factory by the twisted serial killer known as Jigsaw. Oh, and we didn't mention it by him by name, but who is it? It's Charlie Clouser. Is that his last name?
Oh, he's great, isn't he? Yeah.
He's the one who does the music, and I mean that's iconic. I mean,
there we go. We talked about Scream a couple of episodes ago not having its own theme. And here we have a new icon created in the millennium that has a fucking fantastic theme song. You're right. We didn't mention it. It was thank God we're still in the same episode because that would have been a horrible oversight. The music. And that's what I turned to my daughter at the end of part 1. Daughter, not daughter.
I was like,
I looked and I go, honey, look, I got goosebumps. And it's the music combined with the visuals that does it.
Now go to fucking bed.
But that build, I can watch that build over and over again.
Now go to bed.
I got goosebumps. The game.
The game.
Oh, Goosebumps, the movie. The fuck? He's always talking about Goosebumps. He loves the movie. He talks about them.
We're gonna put on part 5 when the power outage was on. I'm like, it's on a different hard drive that I need to plug in. So
Goosebumps 5?
Yep, Goosebumps 5. I'm gonna fuck.
It's gonna be your best movie of 2023.
Episode. I'm gonna
Ghost
choke
Dad.
the fucking shit out of you.
Yep. The Ghost Dad choke. Is that hair?
Listen.
Listen.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Listen.
Listen.
This movie, the best part of this movie, I know Brandon said this one went way up for him. I'm interested in hearing why. Because everything with the people in the house, I don't give really a two shits about. And everything with Jigsaw, I absolutely love. I don't know why I have to say it like that, but that's exactly how I feel. Thanks to you.
See,
100%.
I'm completely
And I will tell you this. Let me tell you this, Steve. Going into it this time, especially after watching part 1 and literally going right into 2 right after, I said to myself, because the last time I watched it was when I did them all. Last time I did them all. So for the podcast.
Are you gonna promote Banana Laser one more fucking time on this?
I can't help it. It just so happens to be that's the last time I watched them all. So that was the last time I did it. Now, going into it, I said to myself, I am really going to try to enjoy it this time. I'm going to go in now with my arms folded, remembering the things I don't like about it. I'm going to go along. I'm going to go on the ride. I'm not going to let anything. And I fully intend to have the best time with this movie that I can have. I went in with great expectations. You know what I mean? Saying, okay, you know what? Maybe it's not so bad. Because I've said it many times that the first 6 are great, and 2 is kind of a bump in the road that I don't hate, but I just don't like it nearly as much as the others. That's what I've always said, and I'm going to stick with it. And I'll say the same thing again that I say about Friday the 13th. If the final chapter would have been the final chapter, it would be the best franchise ever. If this would have ended at Saw 6, it would be the second best franchise ever. Straight up, my opinion, of course, but that's just what I'm saying. But anyway, part 2 going into it, I really had high hopes. I was like, you know what, I'm going to be along for the ride. And for a little while, I was fine. I was in a range that was higher than I had been before. But by the time it got to the end, and by the time it got to the third act, and I started figuring a few things out, I went to the familiar territory. Now, if I'm giving a number rating, maybe it's a half a point higher than the past. Maybe I can give it that. But it just fell into that. I'm with you, see.
People
don't
love
care
this,
about.
though,
I
upon
don't
release.
understand why. This suffers from sequelitis in every sense of the word. It was rushed. Sequelitis, when you're going to take an idea you had the first time and say, let's do this and let's do that. Everybody loved.
And ramp it up to 11?
Yeah, we had 2 people last time. Let's have fucking 6 this time. This is going to be even better. We had a twist at the end of the last one. Let's have 3 twists. Let's do this and do that. Let's have more of the character and get to know him.
Come on, baby. Let's do these twists. Come
We had a
on,
little bit of
baby.
Let's add some more gore. Let's do that. It just seems like everything they did in the first one, they tried to fuck. It's sequelitis. That's what I'm saying, and that's what, to me, ends up being the problem. Of the 6 people there, I'm with you, see. I really don't care about a whole bunch of people, which is weird to say because, honestly, when we get to Saw 6, it's a similar type thing, and I fucking love it for it. The way
But they
hooked
do
up
it well, exactly.
great.
It's something about you know what it is? You're stuck with that loudmouth, and this is what I think Jason thinks of me on the show. You're stuck with that loudmouth asshole character that you're just like, die, you son of a bitch, and I hate him, and you know you're supposed to hate him, but I don't want to watch him on the screen. At least make me hate him and make me want to watch it as well, and so you're just like, just fucking end this guy. And then the one guy's underdeveloped, the black guy who is good.
You can't
I
say
want
that.
more about him. I can't say it. I'm Canadian, and that's what we say. I want more of him, and they don't give you enough of him.
Jonas, that's the problem. I agree with you. That is the problem. I still like these 6 characters, but the problem is, and that's why I said I'm reversing you guys, even though I love Detective Matthews and Jigsaw together, that's some of the best dialogue in the series, as far as I'm concerned. Because I do find that sometimes, even though I love these films, I do find that the writing can be a little cheesy or hokey. I guess, especially, when they're playing the tapes and it's like, you don't appreciate life. Now we will make you appreciate life because you are playing this game. It's just cheesy stuff that he always says in the tapes. But with this one, I always felt like there should have been a little bit less, maybe not less of Matthews Jigsaw back and forth, but maybe a little bit more character development with the 6 people, even though I still care about them. Particularly Jonas, particularly, at this point, Amanda, Daniel, I don't even remember the girls' names. Addison?
The blonde-haired girl is nice, but we don't get enough of her. We don't even know her name.
Laura and Addison, you don't get to hear enough tapes. That's the problem. And I always thought, and I know you see him die in this, but I still always thought that somehow they were going to, again, retcon this character. I thought Aubie was going to show up in Jigsaw. 100%. He is acting so strange in this film. He's got his hood on. He's straightening paintings in the house. He helped set up the game, for Christ's sake. And they never, ever explain.
It's like fucking like a roasted chestnut at the end.
I always thought that maybe there was like a trap within that thing, that he switched out and somebody else was in there. But of course, at the end of the trap, he, you see his head come through. But I always thought there was a way to still somehow have him alive.
I think his behavior can be attributed to, I think he's one of the guys that later on they would say came from the clinic. That's what I think.
Plus, he's acting shady because he did bring some of these people into the game. So,
and his game didn't have to do what it did. That's the problem with the movie. All he had to do, if I'm him and I go in there, I would have pulled the first needle down, saw nothing happen, immediately injected into myself. What can they fucking do? And then say, fuck you and get out. Here, you want that thing? Grab it. Why would you pull it and fucking trap yourself?
Xavier wasn't going to let him out.
Doesn't matter.
Grab the way out of that a lot faster, because he's like looking at it going, oh, there it is over there. Then the fucking flames engage, and you're like, you had time, asshole.
It's not even a game.
It's the second needle that shuts the door and turns the flames on.
Yes, it does, but it's not even a game. It's a fucking unfair game, which makes me believe. I hope that they say that this whole thing ended up being Amanda's setup, and she even said at the end, which made zero sense, he had a choice. I'm like, he didn't have a fucking choice. He went in there. There were two things he was told. Go in there and sacrifice yourself for the greater good. Do something once for somebody else besides you. So you can have one, but you got to give one to the other. How is that even a challenge for anybody to walk through a fucking incinerator and grab two things and get out? Any asshole can do that.
He should have made the leap for the switch to turn the gas off.
Then they show that switch and he just sat there like an asshole with the devil.
That's what
I think. What the fuck is that? Didn't make any sense.
That's the switch to turn the gas off.
With the devil sign or whatever on it, or.
Yeah, that would have turned the gas off.
Well, that's what I said, but he's looking at it like an idiot. Like, that's what I was talking about.
That's the problem with the movie. That's just one kill. It makes no sense.
But even before that, you're talking about sequelitis. A little bit, but I thought they did what, again, the follow the rules with the Scream sequel, took what made the first one successful and ramped it up. And that's what they did here. They followed those rules, whether they were successful or not. That's what they did. But I do respect the fact that they brought Jigsaw into the light, because man, usually that doesn't work. You know, Freddy, once he became too much in the light, you're kind of like
a human being. It's different.
He was blinded by the light.
He's a human being. It's like fucking doing Hannibal Lecter.
It's more terrifying. And I thought he was great in this. And you start to see him getting sick and whatnot. And I like the fact if we just sit here and talk, how that would have given Detective whatever his name is all the answers. Donnie Don.
Well, that was the secret to winning the game. Yeah. Just sit there till the time runs out. That's where, like, it's awesome, but like at the same time, I actually found the tapes in part 1 sort of to be the cheesiest, because that's when, you know, they're like, oh, you are a voyeur. You sit from the sidelines and watch. Now, what will you do when you're in the limelight and people are watching you? You know, I just found like sometimes some of like his speeches are just like, oh, that's a little cheesy, but I love it. I love it. Don't get me wrong. But in this one, the simplicity
of B-roll of just him recording those.
This is what I talk about with like the Agatha Christie stuff. The answer's right in front of you. Just sit. That's all you have to do. Sit and talk to him. And your son's in a safe place. He's in a fucking safe. Come on, that's awesome.
That's cool. That is cool, but I didn't care that much about it.
He's literally in a safe place. He's in a place.
Yes, he was. It's smart.
People. You got all these people. What, to test Amanda then? Because what do they have to do? Oh, I guess his son's in that as well. Sorry, I guess his son's part of the game.
Well, the whole game,
which we don't know is pre-recorded.
Yeah, it's really Detective Matthews' game here, because the first kill, the opening kill, is his informant. And then, of course, with the big reveal is all these people are people he's arrested and, planted evidence on to get convictions, because he's a dirty cop. He's a hothead.
Why? Who gives a fuck about a heroin addict? Exactly. For no reason. This person, there's a million junkies in the world. Let's frame a heroin addict for possession. Nobody fucking frames that.
But therein lies the issue of the underdeveloped characters. Like I said, I'm higher on the film because I still like these characters, but you're right. They're severely underdeveloped, and that's why I'm saying I don't even want to say less Jigsaw and Matthews, just more of their development. I mean, this movie, the credits start to roll at 1 hour and 25. The first one, you get 1 hour and 40. So 10 more minutes of character development. If each of the 6 of them got to play their tape, they didn't. You know, even at the one point.
They didn't need to be connected. That's the thing. This one was so.
There was no connection.
Hopped up on. We need to be Bell. Bell is a big telecommunication company in Canada. We're all connected is their slogan. This is what this had to be. Who gives a fuck? Why do they ever reveal that his dad's the cop that arrested them all?
Yeah, they find the picture in the house.
Amanda knows.
They find the picture in the house. Father and son.
Yeah, at the very end, right?
Yeah, but Xavier sees it. Addison sees it. So, most of them see it. I mean, some of them are already dead. I like that one guy who's like, I spent 3 years in college. Does that mean he didn't finish?
Exactly. Yeah. Oh shit.
That's it. Like,
But
I mean, I don't care. I really don't care about the people in the house. The gunshot kill at the beginning is really cool. I just wish it was
I
a really
agree.
obnoxious guy that got hit instead of the other guy, to be honest.
I understand why they want to have an antagonist in there, though.
The,
You
well,
know, you kind of have.
the chase at the end, but
Yeah, but you know, shit, what can I say?
The
Here's
only
what doesn't
one.
make sense.
Okay.
This is the biggest problem. There's two major problems. Number one, I figured out the twist the first time because they could have done something so easily. So a simple fucking thing. Amanda was the only one in the house that didn't show any signs the whole fucking time of being sick. Everybody's coughing up blood, this weak walking. The only time she does anything is in the fucking final chase at the end when she's running with the boy and trying to get out. Other than that, they're in this place for 2 hours. People are literally the one girl after fucking the one girl. I don't know if she was supposed to be a prostitute or not. The guy makes a remark. I don't know. The dark-haired girl. Literally fucking 10 minutes after she's waking up, she coughs and she's fucking coughing up blood. It was so obvious that I was with my date at this one and we said, well, she's in on it. Everybody else is showing fucking signs but her. We figured that out. And then on top of it, this is what I noticed this time for the first time ever. Detective Matthews wakes up in the middle of the night. He has that epiphany of fucking, oh, wait a minute. That trap that we saw had that label on it from that steel plant or whatever the fuck it was. So, hear me out on this. Hear me out. This is something I think is major. We see the button saying play at the other location that part 1 took place in and that the 6 people in part 2 are there. So prior to going to this place, wherever they fucking, this steel plant, Jigsaw had to go there, press play, because you're not going to use a remote control from fucking miles away. Press play, go back there, and somehow realize, oh, Detective Matthews is going to wake up in the middle of the night, call the cops, and arrive here at this perfect time for me to sit here for these fucking 3 hours they're there. How did he know that was going to transpire exactly when it did?
He didn't.
That's the timing. That's the timing.
Sense.
No, there's no timing issue. There's other people involved in the games. You got Hoffman and you got Amanda. It's already on tape.
You're missing my tape. Yes, but he had to press play so that when they get there and they're watching the monitors, it looks as if it's happening live. It's only a 2-hour fucking tape.
No, I know, but Jigsaw's sitting in there. The minute he hears rumblings into the thing, he could call Amanda or call Hoffman and tell them push play at the other location.
I guess that's true because really at the end of the day, the sun's
well,
safe.
Well, you're going
same.
with fucking retcon from later films, though. That's different.
You have to look at it. It's Amanda. It's Amanda because it's all on tape delay. That's really the biggest reveal. That's all on tape delay. So Amanda's pushing the buttons. Don't even forget Hoffman. It's Amanda.
But how can Amanda press play on something that hasn't already happened?
It has happened, though.
No, it has happened.
Okay, wait a minute. So you're trying to say at the end of this stuff,
the whole thing happened. It's been recorded, and they placed the TV so that when they do the ISP scanner where they're trying to figure out where the signal's coming from, it's just a playback on the computers that are set up at that location.
But they're actually videotapes. Show the fucking things that say play right on there. Somebody has to press the button on that thing at that particular moment to set it up.
I think it's Amanda.
So you're trying to tell me you want to believe that that Jigsaw is just gonna wait at this place calmly.
Yep.
And fucking when he hears people come in, he's gonna fucking have a telephone there. He's gonna fucking call it up. Amanda's gonna be waiting on the other end. It's pre-planned and say, okay, press play. Everybody just arrived.
Absolutely. Amanda pushes play. Then her job is to go to the house and wait for him and Matthews, because Jigsaw, like I said, he's a mastermind in terms of human behavior. He knows that.
Okay, what if the phone
Matthews
call?
It wouldn't have hurt of them putting that in when they do that 10-minute ending, where they always replay pretty much the whole fucking movie and say, look, it's been, as Brandon keeps saying, right before your eyes. It would have hurt to have her say, now, or they could have showed a scene of him talking on the phone. It's time, and then Amanda hitting play. They could have showed it. It wouldn't have made any difference, and then it would have explained it for you. D, I don't think I honestly think I agree.
A phone call to Amanda could explain it. That's fine. It didn't occur to me. A phone call to Amanda. That's fine. I wasn't thinking of that at all. I was thinking Jigsaw was setting this up, and they had to press play at the right moment. I guess. That's acceptable. That he could have called Amanda if he had a phone right there and she had one right there waiting on him. That's possible. Now,
could it have always saying? Huh? the son was always safe. The bigger question is, how does he know everybody else is going to fucking die in that pre-play? So they record it, the day before or whatever like that. It's got to play out. This is what I'm saying. Everything is almost like pre-calculated, so he knows everything's done because the son's not missing for that long, right?
But it couldn't have been the day before because when Matthews had that fight with his son, it was right after. You know what I'm saying? There was not enough window. It wasn't like this happened and then go back to your mother's. And number one, he would have had to drive him back to his mother's. He couldn't just fucking appear there. You know what I mean? So it could have been a week later. You know what I mean? But this happened the time.
So he got picked up right away, correct? Because you said that's the last thing you ever said to your dad. So I'm assuming the boy got kidnapped.
How did he know that?
Away, was put into the game.
And how did he know
that? We're showed that as the audience. We're shown that as the audience.
He said that to him, though. He said, remember? And he goes, what's the last thing? Something about being a father. He goes, what's the last thing you said to your son? Remember that? How did he fucking jigsaw him?
In these movies.
I think it's just a question of his character. He knows, obviously, that his son was picked up because of later reveals that Hoffman's in on it. So, same thing with the police records in 1. So, again, it's got to be Hoffman.
But taking 2 as 2. I'm not talking about the later. I like that later on we can go back and do that. But I did it with part 1 too. I'm not going to excuse something. I'm talking about going to the show to see fucking part 2. And when you're watching the screen and the credits roll,
then you have to just excuse him as somebody who knows human behavior. He knows the type of person Detective Matthews is, and he knows that his son was arrested. So
he kidnaps a kid right after, and he obviously has all these people that he's already got in the game that have been arrested by him in the past. This has already been planned and orchestrated. So he obviously was there to hear that line or whatever. I don't even like this movie.
That's fair.
And
that's fine.
I can explain it away even. That part.
And I'm not hot about it. I agree.
Like the craft for me.
No, that's fine. No. Listen, I accept it. That's fine. Those are my I didn't think about that. That helps. And I guess I was gonna say this myself. Maybe he was watching the son. Maybe because he was tailing them. I mean, maybe that's possible. I'm okay with that. And I wasn't even going to bring that up, but when you mentioned that, I said, well, here's an opportunity to say something else about it. So I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with the things that the Obi thing makes no fucking sense. And I have to basically just agree with, again, the reveal on Amanda was too easy to call. There's 3 twists and none of them are fucking very good. It's like, to me, this seems like it's rushed. It's like, okay, you could see that it's rushed. It only took a year later. I just wish. It just seems like it's not written. They didn't take time to do the great things they did with the fucking movie that follows. It's almost like this could have been. It's like Nightmare 2. You could, and I am okay with Nightmare 2, but you could just go from Nightmare 1 to 3, and not have 2 and not miss a beat. You could do the same thing with fucking Saw 1 and Saw 3. And just maybe flash back.
You can't do that though, because I think the Amanda story is this one.
Not only that, Detective Matthews too. Matthews and Amanda.
Matthews. No offense, because I know how beloved Saw 3 is, and I do like Saw 3, even though it went down for me in this review as well. Again, you can jump right from 2 to 4, I think. I really do think so, even though the cool thing about 4 is it happened simultaneously with 3. But we'll get there. That's the really cool thing about it. But anyway, I'm just saying, I hear what you're saying, Dave, but my problems are just like I find the characters very uninteresting in that house.
Kind of dull.
And it's all screaming that you're just like, get me out of here. Like we were watching it. My wife was in the same room. She's like, I got to fucking leave. This movie's so annoying to listen to. She was doing something else. And she's like, this, all it is screaming. And I got to agree with her. It's a lot of that. And so it's just, again, agitating to watch. Not as agitating as Atrocious was, in a different way, because there's still a lot of great stuff here that's happening. But, like, a lot of stuff that I'm not really interested in. Like the gunshot was good. The diving for keys and syringes is very cringy as well. Like it just makes you hate the guy though. Like I just thought they could do a little bit more. I think Brandon maybe salted again, which is maybe they needed to add 10 more minutes of character development there.
We needed more on Jonas. We certainly needed some sort of introduction to Laura and Addison. I mean, we get them later on, I think in part 6. I don't even know which part. We see Addison at the clinic or whatever. And but Jonas particularly. We definitely needed more on Abby in some sort of reveal or something like that. But
True.
I don't know. I agree with Dave on the one thing I didn't like is that it is very inconsistent with them being sick. Amanda, you're right, is never coughing at all. Daniel, surprisingly, is not that sick at all, which makes sense because they probably gave him a shot beforehand too. I mean, he's coughing a little at the end. The one girl, she has a seizure and dies. It doesn't make sense because it's a little all over the place with that. I do admit that, but
well, like, I mean, what's the game? What's the end game? Like, really, at the end of we keep talking about it. It's the detective's game. The kid is safe there. What would have happened if other people were they just expecting everybody to die and not being able to complete the tasks? Could they be completed? And this brings the big question then. Like, it's not a game to win, other than Detective Matthews. Is it Detective Matthews? Did I finally get it right? He can win if he just stayed put and didn't let anger overtake him. Well,
that's it. At this point, Jigsaw is very sick. He did not set up those house traps. So it is clearly Amanda setting it up. So, and of course, one movie later, she's accused of setting up unwinnable games. So
it makes sense there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time, it doesn't. You don't know, but you do know it's Amanda's game at the end. So and that's fine. But then the thing is, at the end, when she comes out, what does she say? She comes out and she
impact. It doesn't have the impact of the first one.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. But
they even tried. They tried to have 3 reveals.
Yeah.
It was too hard. They tried too hard.
Like, I still liked it. Like seeing the shot of Jigsaw beating into a pulp in the car as it pans in it back, and I think he just smiles.
That dude, I love that. I think that's a great image because you hear again, it's like Adam screaming in part 1. You hear Matthew screaming, and you see Jigsaw smile because he's smiling because he knew how this was all going to play out because he's a mastermind, such a great villain.
A psycho callback almost, in a sense, not from the screaming standpoint, but just for that maniacal smile.
Yeah,
that just like says it all.
Yeah, Amanda's reveal definitely doesn't have the impact that Jigsaw does, especially since it's really just a regurgitation of part 1. But I still like it because at that point it's like, okay, this is far from over. That's the point when you realize, all right, we're getting into a franchise here. We're getting more films. But the safe place, and all that, and certainly the elevator, him sitting in the elevator the whole time. That's so cool.
What elevator?
In his apartment. When he's like, just push the button and it closes off. They don't realize that the whole room that John and Detective Matthews are in is actually in the elevator, in the lift, and they go down.
And they go down.
And the rest of the cops are scrambling to get out. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I totally went blank there again. You brought that up, and I was like, yeah, that part was cool as well. The electrocution part was in this one too. The electrocution was good, or is that in 3?
Which electrocution?
No,
well, the cops get electrocuted. I think that's in 3.
No, the cops got electrocuted in this one. When the 3 cops go in, the cage shuts. The one gets his legs bent the wrong way, and then the 2 touch up. Yeah.
They throw that bomb thing in, right? The little bomb cam guy thing. Or am I confusing movies now? Which I do with this series quite a bit, actually. They start mixing up. They send in the little, because even my daughter goes, oh, that's old technology. I'm like, this movie wasn't made that long ago. We're talking 15 years ago. It's like just like a bomb buddy. They send in the little remote control video guys that go in. They've got one of those in the series. But I don't know if it's this movie.
That's not this one. I think that's the next one because Rig is in this one, but Rig doesn't go in with those 3 guys. I think that's in 3 or 4 with Rig.
Yeah, Rig is a small time, right?
Yeah, Rig is just, Rig and Kerry you see throughout, but they don't step up until later.
Poor Kerry. Oh, whatever. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she won her game, but fucking Amanda.
I know. I'm sad because I love Kerry.
Yeah, me too.
I adore fucking Dina Meyer.
Yeah, I like her too.
Yeah.
I
don't know. It's kind of blah.
It doesn't have the impact because all the stuff that has impact is with Jigsaw, and then they shift to give that big reveal of Amanda, which it's into itself, it's cool later in the series, but it just
Yeah.
lacks the impact that it has there. And I don't care about anybody in the house. So some of the reveals are cool, like it's been pre-recorded. I thought that was cool. The safe place, like Brandon said, that was cool and funny. But just
It was
it's just
cool,
not
but
too
it was
much scream.
cool.
Too much annoyance and not enough of the good stuff. So I was with a lot more annoying characters, whereas in the first one I cared about how it played out. This one I didn't really care about it at all. I knew it was going to be something cool in the end, but getting there was definitely more of a chore for me.
I didn't like John's constant reference to him having cancer. How you can't hurt me? I have cancer.
Yeah, it was a little.
I don't know. It just made me cringe a little. It just wasn't. I don't know. I just didn't like that as much. I do like the fact that they showed him
to do this.
I do like when he tried to drive the car off the cliff, and he
Oh, it's
pulls
great.
that
The
big
suicide
rod.
attempt?
Yeah, and he pulls the rod out of him or whatever it is, a piece of the car out of him, and I mean that was cool. But
Yep.
one of the coolest scenes for me in this, with him and Detective Matthews, is right at the end of Detective Matthews beating the shit out of him when he says okay, and he says game over.
Yes, he does.
He says, and it's so
'Cause you know
brilliant. It's so
Yeah.
brilliant because he thinks it's game over, you win. No, it's game over,
Right.
you lose. And I love that. And then he takes him to the house, and all the references to other horror movies. The 237 is the address. He says it's the last house on the left, stuff
Yes.
like that. And that's just, I love stuff like
You're
that.
right. Those are all great little Easter eggs and cool things for horror fans as well. So I'll give you that. Like that stuff is good.
You're
That
right
stuff
about
is
the
good.
you're right about the 6 people. I guess I like them more, especially because you kind of saw their character for the most part, with the exception of Xavier. They're all pretty much good people. But the one inconsistency for me is, okay, maybe it is a little obvious. I mean, I didn't figure it out the first time I watched it that Amanda was involved. I was like, oh shit, how unlucky she's in this game again. But maybe they should have made her a little sick, or at least pretend to be sick. But
right.
also, like, if it's her game and she set it up, she came close. I mean, you could tell she set up this game because she did not predict Xavier's behavior towards the end. Because her and Daniel are fighting for survival at the end. I mean, they're lucky they come up with this quick plan where Daniel's going to play dead and then slit his throat, because Xavier was on a rampage at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on that note too, like, so that reveal of it being the girl from the first movie was great, because even though I knew it's Amanda Peterson, correct? Or am I?
Amanda Peterson,
It's
isn't
the girl.
that?
No, that's the girl from Can't Buy Me Love, is it not? Who's the girl from The Blob? It's this girl.
Yeah, Shawnee Smith.
Amanda.
Shawnee Smith. Amanda Peterson is the girl from Can't Buy Me Love that overdosed.
Yeah, the
like,
one who
years
died
ago.
many years ago. I just watched
Yeah.
Can't Buy Me Love
So-
a few days ago.
Yeah.
Do you know why
sorry,
she got the part as Amanda? Because fucking James Wan, when they were putting the movie together, and they were talking, he was talking to the casting director, and they were talking about casting and whatever, and he said, who would you like to get? And he said Shawnee Smith, and because he always had a crush on her, fucking from years
Summer
ago,
School.
and The Blob and
Summer
everything else,
School.
and the other movies, Summer School, and she took it. And she turned it down at first, and then she watched the 2002 short film, and then said, you know what, I'm going to come in. Then he got her. So just because he had a crush on her years ago, he said, I wanted to get her, and he got it.
small role, and then it turned into a bigger role for her, which is great.
And she's
but
smart
those-
because she worked with Harry Crumb, so she learned all her detective skills from Harry.
Who's Harry Crumb? Well, there was a guy I used to work with.
Not worth investigating.
Who's
There's a
Harry
guy I used to work with. I never saw Harry Crumb, but
You've never seen Harry
the
Crumb?
movie is called Who's Harry Crumb, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I was
Okay.
laughing.
I get it, but the guy I used to work with confused two movies, and he said, "Did you ever see that movie Who's Uncle Buck?" He mixed up
Uncle Buck.
Who's Harry Crumb with Uncle Buck, and he fucking because isn't it the same actor as John Candy?
What
and
about
Buck?
Uncle Buck?
Yeah, it's John Candy. Yeah,
Yeah,
what,
so
about, yeah,
called
what
it
about
Who's Uncle Buck?
Yeah.
What about Uncle Buck? Yeah, that too.
That would have been even more confusing.
where does
Harry
Bob stand on this?
So, but no, I want to go back though, because I said like she was good. Like that reveal to me was good because I didn't remember her as the survivor of that bear trap or the reverse bear trap or whatever the hell it is from the first
Really?
movie.
She says it.
No.
I survived this game.
No, until she talks about her being in it again.
Like 30
Yeah.
seconds later.
Oh, so right away, I know.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris.
She looks like a little different. She's got the bad haircut in this one.
Yeah. The
She's got the what about Bob cut.
Well, no, it's not 30 seconds later, is it? You get to see these people for a bit.
It's a little bit, yeah.
Like a minute or two.
Well, she kind of jumps into it. She goes into the bricks. She knows. She starts investigating like 30 seconds later.
Right. Like, wait a minute.
I mean, I just recognize her because I know Shawnee Smith because, summer school. What about Uncle Buck?
So she's back in it, but I didn't suspect.
What about Blob? What about
What
Blob,
about
Dave?
Bob?
What about
I
Dave,
don't
I
know
knew
where
you'd
this
like
is going,
that one.
everybody. I
Hey,
apologize.
what about Blob? Come on, that's great.
That is fucking great. Sorry.
Great,
I thought you actually
Blob.
said with Bob.
Blob 2. What about Blob?
Oh God.
That's
Oh,
the
God.
best one yet.
What about Blob?
I want to see a meme of that. Like the what about Bob, but instead of Bob being there, it's the blob. You know, the pink fucking shit. Boom, 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 boom.
We need to get Nudie to make that.
Right? He don't listen to us. If we were a wrestling show, he'd listen to us. He paid $3 to watch a shit fucking wrestling show. Sorry. Anyway,
Which is every
Sorry,
wrestling
Steve.
show, in my opinion.
these days, yes, I agree with you.
These days, back in the 80s, everything. But the reality would be, I'm just not a fan. It's more along the lines of, I think where I was going with it is that I didn't realize she'd be connected. You'd think her being back in, like Brandon said, oh, what shit luck, that there's got to be a reason. But I actually didn't piece it together, Dave, until a little bit later on, and then they're going down below, and then the reveal of that being the scene of the first Saw movie is also a cool reveal.
Awesome. I love it
Oh,
when
I
the lights
love
come
it.
back on. I love
Love
when the
that
lights come
connection.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so cool.
And-
I maybe wish I was watching
And
Saw.
body's still there.
Right.
The
And
Rod
how she
body's
smashes
still
them.
there.
Oh,
Both of
oh
them.
no, she doesn't.
Isn't
confused.
Zepp's body there too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Zepp's body's there, and Adam is there, and Gordon's foot. Come here, Gordon! Come here, Gordon!
Oh, wait a minute. Was it Gordon's foot or Gordon Lightfoot?
Gordon Lightfoot.
That was better. What about Blob? Good. I just was
Christian?
done with
Christian,
it.
It was Gordon Lightfoot. It was all
Gordon's
shriveled and shit.
Gordon's Lightfoot.
It had to be fucking lighter, you know? It's Gordon's Lightfoot.
The legend lives on from the Chippewa down to the great lake they call Gitchagumi. Dave, that was fucking gold.
Not bad, huh? See?
Christian's like, fuck these so, but Gordon's Lightfoot.
Oh, it's good. They're good jokes. I just want to get through this fucking review.
I know, but I wish I had come up with Gordon's Lightfoot.
What was I gonna say? Here's the problem. I want to see more traps like we saw in the first movie. In the first movie, we saw more traps, but they were set up. We saw the aftermath of the guy, the guy that fucking, the stomach, the fucking suicide attempt guy, fell to the barbed wire. We saw the guy with the light, and he set himself on fire. Those were cool traps, and they were games. In this one, someone gets thrown in into the needles. The other one, for no reason, the chick walks in the room, sees the syringes, and just, oh, this thing just happens to be here. I'm going to put my fucking hands up and try to get this thing. And then she's stuck. It just felt fucking ham-fisted.
And you see the drawings of that trap in Jigsaw's lair, but again, it almost seems like that might have been a winnable trap, but not the way she played it. But at that point,
Winnable if you wait for somebody to actually be team player and come up and just help you out.
Yep.
That's it. But no one takes the time to, like, they just freak out and they kill themselves or fuck themselves up.
And they illustrate that much better in Saw 6. That they helped each other. It's all about helping each other. I think it's 6.
Or is it 5?
6, maybe it's 5. Either way, if you help each other, you'll get through. And I think they do a little bit of that in
Yeah, with the blood at the end, where they have to fill the blood at the end, and if it was all 5 of them, it would have been much easier.
Right. Little things like that. That's why they don't. In this movie, they just say, let's put a thing in a room and have somebody walk into it randomly. It's like a fucking. It's just not thought out enough. That's what it is.
You don't get the tapes. You don't get the the elaborate.
Stumble upon it as opposed to having to do it. It's like, what's in this room and what's in that, and then like the safe combination. is on the backs of everybody's necks, which doesn't really. What does that end up? What's the end game?
The end game for that is, I think Amanda uses that on Daniel. Because if you notice, when Matthews goes into the place at the end, when he passes Jonas's body and lifts up the floor, there's a needle on the floor next to Jonas. The only explanation is that Amanda opened the safe and injected Daniel.
Okay, but but
right. Yeah, they're a little lazy. They're definitely a little lazy. Yeah,
just
but
throwing on him cutting his own neck.
That's a cool point, though. I like that scene when she says, "Even if you get ours, you still don't know your own number." And then he tries that nice thing. He's like,
and he just so happens to get in the fucking
dead for it. Like, I mean, exactly. Like, wouldn't you be like, if you're cut, that you're going to be cut right into that whatever that 8.
Right.
It's going to look like. And what if it's a 6 and he turns it around? It's like he thinks it's a 9. So fuck this part of the movie.
It had the line under it, so
funny.
you know it's not a 9.
Yeah.
But there is humor in it. It always makes me laugh every time he cuts it off and then he puts it in his pocket.
Yeah,
I'll just save that for later.
He memorized all the double-digit numbers, the 11s, the 16s that he's been looking on 50 different bodies, but his own 8 he can't remember. He has to put in his pocket. I thought the same thing. Why is he saving it? Unless he's thinking, when I get out of here, I'll have it sewn back on.
Oh God!
Yeah,
and the sequel is Over the Rainbow. He would never have figured out what Over the Rainbow means, because they don't even say it. They completely fucking don't tell you that part of it. But they're different colors. So it's a safe. It has to be in a certain order. My guess is that would have to be in order of the colors on the spectrum. The Roy G. Biv. You know what I mean? That's my guess. Because why would he say the secret's over the rainbow? If you got a million numbers, how are you going to know what order to put them in on a safe? If I tell you, hey, Brandon, the combination of the safe is fucking 12, 17. You don't know what order you're going to see them in. If they're randomly coming off people's bodies.
Do safes really have combinations with like 15 numbers?
No.
Is it like 2, 11, 16, 8, 9, 12, 7?
Typically it's
maybe 4.
Yeah, he collected
maybe
like 8
4.
numbers. God,
it's not fucking Fort Knox. It's just a big safe. Yeah. It's not like it's... Anyway.
God, bringing me down.
B, I'm really curious about that. I'm just going to come out now with it. For me, it's a 6.5.
Whoa!
And for me, it's a 7.
I wanted it to be a 7. At one point it was. But everything that happened in the third act, I just... Nope.
Wow.
I came up. It would have been a 6 once upon a time.
I really enjoy it. For me, it's an 8 out of 10.
That's fine. I mean, it's cool.
Nice.
But you can see that there's a bit of a drop off. 2 points for me.
Fucking lot of points for me. Fucking 3 points. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It just needed more character development, and as the franchise gone on, that's why I was shocked. I always thought, as this franchise went on, you know, even in Part 7, which I know Dave hates, you know, you see a bunch of pig-masked people when they attack Hoffman at the end. And I always thought when Jigsaw came around that we were going to learn who some of these other pig people were. And I figured that it was going to be some people from Part 2. Pig people. Sorry. But I just always felt like somebody from Part 2 was coming back into it. Whether it's Daniel, whether it's Abby, whether somebody rescued somebody else from this house was still alive, you know, like Addison or... Well,
there's a hell of a lot more pig people, but they all got fucking turned into, like, super sauce in Part 3.
Oh,
you know what though? You say you came down on Part 3, but Part 3 did better what you didn't like in Part 2 in terms of the going from room to room.
But it's also the longest one, and it feels like the longest one.
Oh, I love it though. It's such an amazing reveal that to me it's the most Sixth Sense like, where it's like it's so obvious, and I didn't see it.
Again, good reveal, but you can't base the whole fucking movie experience on that last 10 minutes.
That's all.
Can you?
I'm fine without it. That's just a cherry on top of the movie. I think the movie fucking start to finish is phenomenal. That's just me. I can't wait to watch it. I'm excited.
Very good.
That's just it. I get excited to watch it. Okay, see, I'm going in order, and I don't get excited. I get excited to watch every one of them except 2. Like, there's no excitement. The rest of the movies, I'm excited to go watch 3, 4, 5, and 6 specifically. I'm excited to watch them. There's no excitement with Saw 2 with me. They're just, it's okay. I watch it. Okay, this is what happened.
Dave. I got to interrupt you because it's such a stupid, like, you said you got comedy from him doing this and putting it in his pocket. I got comedy. Both my daughter and I turned to each other, just started laughing. She's like, "We don't have 15 minutes," and they cut to the timer. It says 54 minutes.
But no, she's right. It's not a mistake. It's not a mistake because their poison was going to kill them after 2 hours, and there was 3 hours on the clock.
It opens up in 3. Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, so they were at 2 hours and 6 minutes then. They were 6 minutes past their due date.
So they were overdue, right? Because he says it unlocks.
I don't know why I said due date. Everyone's pregnant. That was the big reveal. Everyone's pregnant.
Okay, well, we thought everybody one way or the other. Yeah.
Right. No, but that's exactly.
We don't have 15 minutes. 54 minutes.
And they specifically showed you that because you're supposed to know what the plot is. That's amazing. And he thought they fucked up. That's funny, man.
No, it's not that they fucked up. They said, well, why did they just go, we don't have 15 minutes? She was just saying, we don't have any more time. We have no time to waste. But she specifically said, we don't have 15 minutes. Swish pan, 54 minutes. I'm not saying it's a mistake. I'm just saying it's visually funny because line says one thing and the visual says something else.
It would have been funnier if it
said
15 minutes. Like 15 minutes.
16.
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute, Loomis. There isn't a minute to wait. I love that. There isn't a minute to wait, he says. Loomis would have been great in this series. Instead of Dr. Gordon, Dr. Loomis in his place would have been fucking great. And I'll leave it at that. He doesn't want us to cut off these chains. He wants us to cut off our feet. Imagine that. Dr. Loomis.
He got hungry.
Imagine Loomis cheating with that girl on the fucking thing. You know, going into that room. I'm sorry. Oh, it'd be great. I want to see Saw recast with Dr. Loomis instead of Dr. Gordon. Somebody do it, please.
We want to see that. And what about Blob?
Yes.
What about
Blob 2. What about Blob? Amazing.
That was funny. I was just like...
You know this is Amanda's game also because she gets thrown in the needle pit. Unless she's willing to set this up and be like, all right, there's a chance I'm going to be thrown in the needle pit. They're going to pursue me and try to kill me. I mean, she did not.
Them.
I know. She did not have Xavier figured out or under control in her own game.
I hear you. I hear you. You know what, though?
For a junkie, she got really kind of uppity from all those syringes in her.
She should be used to them. You can't say that. No, but still, she helped him.
Just a little pinprick.
And it was his fault because he dropped the key. If he hadn't dropped it, he would have gotten it right in. It would have been out of there.
An asshole. Yep.
Anyway, well,
yeah.
I feel like I definitely think that the next two are, well, they're definitely better installments, no question. I just, it's funny, the one that I prefer, which I've already pretty much let the cat out of the bag. So.
I already forgot, so that's good.
I think it's 4. Considering he's shitting on 3 the last 2 hours.
Oh my God.
There's
man.
No shitting on it. There's no shitting on it. It's
so your pants came down and you defecated right on it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's good. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out next show. So that's been that. Nice short show. Saw 1, Saw 2, although long for 2 movies. But hey, we're doing what we're doing over here. So, yeah.
We're padding our numbers. This way we can hit episode 200 next week.
Yeah, we're gonna want to get 200 ratings by episode 200. Then we're gonna do that. Well, it'll be
Dave wants a 6.0 rating on iTunes.
You can't rate that.
You can't rate.
Wow.
Okay.
Anyway,
all right, guys.
You're just freaking me out here.
We'll see you real soon. See you real soon. Isn't that what fucking Mickey Mouse says?
Yeah, we're now sponsored by Disney, by the way. If anybody.
Oh, imagine that. The only place open in Florida. Fucking Disney. We're sponsoring us. Why not a horror podcast? You know? So, anyway, speaking of that, I hope everybody's staying safe and being cool. And, yeah, we love you guys.
We love you
long time.
Peace out, everyone.
We all said it.